Traffic is a service of Oscar Mayer Beef Hot Dogs. When you think back to your favorite foods growing up, hot dogs are always on the list, especially Oscar Mayer hot dogs. As you get older, you want to start eating more like a grown-up. That's why Oscar Mayer Jumbo Beef Hot Dogs are made with the great grown-up taste of 100% Angus beef. So enjoy a childhood favorite all grown up. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer begins next, but now the weekend forecast at service of aircomfort.com, providing the right climate for business since 1935. And here's meteorologist Kevin Snyder.
Clouds and sun today with a high of 70. Then tonight, patchy clouds, low 55. Tomorrow, sun and patchy clouds, high 78. And a clear night tomorrow night with a low 59. Sunday will be a mostly sunny day with a high of 79. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560. The Answer.
Lakefront 66, Midway 66, 64 degrees at O'Hare. Next news at 5:30. Get continuous coverage of the latest news, traffic, and weather at 560theanswer.com. Chicago's Morning Answer starts now on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by The Lou Bridges Show, a show about the greatest financial crime in history. Saturday mornings at 8 on AM 560, The Answer.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan. And in for Amy this morning is Chicago Tribune editorial board member Kristen McQuarrie, who brought brownies.
I did.
And we appreciate that.
As you said, they'll be gone, within minutes here. But
I don't think they're going to make it to the bottom of the hour, but I appreciate it.
It's a healthy breakfast.
It's not bad. Goes well with my coffee and the elixir in my coffee.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, that it gets me through 4 hours. So yesterday, you are someone who is tasked with following state government and all the state politicians and all the state policymakers and the policies they make. You're tasked with also covering the city. And this is where worlds were colliding yesterday. Rauner signs a stopgap budget that was agreed to after some last-minute wrangling, or you might call it extortion, by the Black Caucus to get a little bit more money for teachers in Chicago. That went by the boards. But he signs this stopgap budget, 6-month budget, although it's a year of funding for schools. And of this budget, the stopgap budget, it's not a real budget, stopgap budget. We still are on 15 years of not having a constitutionally balanced budget. But the stopgap budget, Rauner says of this, we've hit the bottom. This is the low point in the evolution of Illinois, and now we begin to move up, growth, value for taxpayers, better schools, a responsive political system, and the like. That's a very different reaction than what I understand from friends in the General Assembly the Democrats were offering, which was nothing short of giddiness, celebration about this Band-Aid for 6 months that does nothing to address any of the fundamental infirmities that afflict Illinois. Why the disconnect?
Well, because that's the fundamental problem with state government is, and we've been writing this on the editorial page for a couple of months, do not allow lawmakers to pat themselves on the back for what is perpetuating instability in the state. I mean, kicking the can, lurching along in crisis, that is all this stopgap budget is. Did we get pension reform out of this, Dan?
No.
Did we get workers' comp reform
No.
out of this? Did we get changes to collective bargaining at the local level?
No.
Did we get term limits?
No.
Did we get redistricting?
No.
Did we get any sort of fundamental change in exchange for what is, the governor's calling it a bridge budget. All of this is semantics. It's basically kick the can so nobody has to take a tough vote before November.
Well, but here's the thing. I mean, from Rauner's perspective, here's how I think this makes some sense for him. And for him, and when I say for him, I don't mean to fall into the media construct if this is just some ego contest between Madigan and Rauner. Because there's always going to be part of that, but I don't think that's what it is fundamentally. So here's the thing. Rauner's elected to take on the political ruling class, to restructure state government, to say no to the entrenched interests. And I think he's been doing that in large measure for the last 18 months. But here's the thing: if he vetoes a Democrat stopgap budget that includes an inordinate amount of funding for Chicago Public Schools, which this does, more funding than they deserve under the funding formula. It's a special deal for Chicago. There's no question. Is there a question about that?
Well, I mean, I would say that to his credit, the governor did get permission, or he's going to push the legislature to lift the cap on, having a separate pension levy for the city of Chicago teachers' pension system.
Right.
Which I think is a smart move.
Chicago, solve your own problems.
Well, right. And that's the way it was up until the 1995 school reform, where they gave Mayor Daley more leeway in, swapping back and forth between what was levied for pensions and what was levied for day-to-day operational costs. And then CPS went 10 years without making a pension payment. So this, at least, if they do this, will lock in, to make sure that your taxes and my taxes that are levied for Teachers Pension Fund actually go to the Teachers Pension Fund.
And the $200 million in kind of one-time state support for CPS, a one-time payment to CPS for the pensions, for the teacher pensions, that is essentially a contingency fund that it's a if-then fund. If you pass pension reform by January 1st, then you get this $200 million. So at least he was able to incentivize some movement in that direction as well.
Well, exactly.
I mean, it's baby steps on the road of 1,000 miles, but baby steps nonetheless.
And I have never disagreed with the fact that giving Chicago the same pension parity, $200 million is a fixed cost that some of these education reform bills have talked about, $200 million going forward for the normal teacher costs. That is not bailing out Chicago. None of this money could possibly bail out Chicago public schools. But it puts them on par with what every other district. It cannot be bailed out. I mean, so that has kind of irked me that the governor keeps explaining it that way. Every other school district gets, state taxpayers pay for its normal pension costs, and there's no reason why Chicago shouldn't have those, unless we're going to do the whole cost shift and statewide push that pressure back to the local districts.
Yeah, but it's worth pointing out this is the system that Rauner inherited, and it's a system that Democrats, including the Chicago Democrats in control of the General Assembly and by extension the state, have been unwilling to structurally reform. I mean, all the hand-wringing about the school funding formula or the pension matter with respect to Chicago, well, I'm sorry, when did Rauner author that and ram that through the General Assembly? In the last 18 months? No. This is the system he inherited from the people who designed it, at least in large measure, designed the system that we have now, going all the way back to the Constitutional Convention in 1970, in which Madigan was an instrumental part.
Right. I mean, there's no defending, all the complaining about changing the school funding formula, which I am, deeply in favor of and have favored some of the proposals like Andy Menar's that got killed basically in the House this year. But they've been sitting on this, and their union buddies, the teachers' unions who claim to be, education activists and they want justice, they have never fought for a change in the school funding formula. So I understand.
And they haven't because why? Because the current formula benefits them.
I don't know that that's true. I think
why else wouldn't they fight for it?
Because they don't care about policy, Dan. They don't really care if Calumet City or Lansing is getting crushed because they don't have the property wealth to make up for what wealthier districts can do. Just the fundamental problem with relying on property taxes to fund schools, they don't care. I mean, it's not, there's not a policy issue here. It finally came about, and we're even talking about it because of one state senator sort of picking up the ball and running with it. But if not for that, we wouldn't even be discussing it.
Well, so going back to Rauner now, and we'll take your calls on this, 312-642-5600, your view on what you've read so far and what you've heard from us so far about this stopgap budget and the Rauner's decision to compromise here in spite of really his disposition. He made a compromise. Your view on that, was that a smart compromise, or was that capitulation to Madigan and Cullerton and the status quo? I think it was the former. I think it was a smart compromise. And here's the construct, and I think the opportunity for Rauner to reset, which is to say, look, you elected me to do these things, to take on the power mongers and the Chicago Democrat overlords in Springfield. And I'm doing that, and I will continue to do that. But here's what I don't want to do. I don't want to say, I dare you to shut down state government. I dare you to defund social service providers. I dare you to not provide the funding that opens the schools on time, or at least many of the schools on time, and keeps them open throughout the school year. I'm not going to play that game. So I don't want Illinois families who rely on social service providers or who have school-age children, I don't want them caught in the crosshairs. So even though I'm being, even though it's a bit of a hostage situation, to use an overwrought and a little bit extreme comparison, I'm not willing to dare the captor with respect to the hostages. So I'll make a compromise. But when it comes to the captors, I'm still going to go after them. This, to me, is relief for the captives in the short term, so that he has more running room to go after the captors. And that means AFSCME. The play where I believe he should go all in was not this play. It's with AFSCME's contract. 37,000 state employees. AFSCME represents the lead financier of that ruling class that he is trying to take on, needs to take on if he wants to restructure and rethink and reintroduce state government, something that can, it's something that's financeable and lives up to its promises to Illinois families. That's the play, because where he's negotiated 18 collective bargaining agreements with smaller public sector union units of state employees, wage freezes. AFSCME still out there, and there's a labor impasse, and it's being litigated, demanding a 29% increase over the life of their contract in their compensation, despite the fact that state workers make 27% more than their private sector counterparts. They're intransigent, they're intractable, and they are that way because they're used to getting what they want when they want it, and on their terms. So that, to me, is where you have the opportunity to really go after one of the four legs in the power structure stool in Springfield, if you will. This wasn't the play.
No, I did not want to see this fall apart, because you know what? It's exhausting. It is exhausting, and it is hurting the state. And so I don't begrudge him necessarily for compromising. But if he thinks, or if anybody thinks, that after November we're going to revisit the turnaround agenda and all of these policy positions that his side believes will actually get the state on the right track, that then the Democrats will come around, it's not going to happen.
No, I agree. I mean, but what this provides is the opportunity to not have this election cycle poisoned by chaos ensuing because some schools, particularly the worst run schools like CPS, aren't open, and you've got 350,000 kids on the streets for some indeterminate period of time. What it provides now is what has to happen. This is the only way forward, and people need to understand this. You got to win more elections. You can't have supermajorities of Democrats and move anything Ronner wants to move. If that hasn't come across over the last 18 months, then some people will never have it come across and penetrate their gray matter. That is the requirement. The only way forward is three words: flip the House. Republicans have to not just get out of the super minority. If you really want to move a change agenda, a restructuring agenda, you have got to have a net pickup of 7 seats in the House to make Madigan the House minority leader, not the Speaker of the House.
But that's not possible.
It is possible.
I don't think it's possible. Not this year, not under this map, not right now.
Ed in Oak Brook, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, you know what? I've been following this. I've been not following. I've been paying for this for such a long time. I want to get out of the state so bad. But why doesn't the CPS file bankruptcy? Why doesn't the city of Chicago file bankruptcy? Well, I mean, I'm getting screwed on everything that I own as far as taxes and fees and so forth. I mean, how much more can they take from me?
Don't ask that question because the answer is always more, Ed. But as to CPS bankruptcy.
You need state legislation to allow that to occur, and it never goes anywhere. It's so politically, it's just a fireball. I mean, if you are Rahm Emanuel, you do not want national news coverage. You do not want this national story that your district that you oversee is bankrupt. But is it? Absolutely. I mean, they are running on fumes. All these stories about after they make their next pension payment, they'll only have $24 million in the bank. All of that is borrowed money. Every single penny. So this idea that they can somehow dig themselves out is just not possible.
Phil on the north side.
Dan, you should be on every radio station in the morning. You know, this is so sad.
I really should.
I went to Chicago public schools. I'm having a hard time just telling if Rauner's doing a staged fight or if he's actually doing the right job.
I think it's real. I think it's real.
I hope it's real. It just bothers me because if he is real, it feels like it's one man against the entire machine. All these are union jobs, union pension, nothing more. They've never cared. If people look at Peggy Luksick on outcome-based education, they'll understand the massive problem we're up against, because it's not just the unions. It's not just Madigan. It's millions of kids who have no clue and millions of adults that have no clue. My family's built the unions. I walked away from them because of the bureaucracy, not because it's not a good paying job, just because of this endless, disgusting bureaucracy that's completely ruining us. And it needs to change. And I want to move out of the state, too.
Thanks, Phil.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Today's forecast, high of 70, partly cloudy. Tomorrow, 78 degrees, going to creep up a little bit, also partly cloudy, but a beautiful day. And now we'll get some traffic from Jim Talamonte.
Good morning, Kristen. Good morning, Dan. Kennedy inbound at North Avenue. The entrance ramp from North Avenue is partly blocked. Police activity there. At the main lanes of the Kennedy are fine. Still some road work on the westbound Adams Tollway, 53 to Roselle. 2 right lanes are closed there till 6 this morning. Also work on 390 westbound Elgin O'Hare, Meacham to right. 2 left lanes are closed till 6 on Tuesday. Elgin O'Hare becomes 390 tollways. You're paying to use that roadway. Elsewhere right now, the expressways and tollways are looking good. You do have street closures on the north side of Chicago for Windy City Rib Fest, in Naperville and Lisle for the weekend festivals there as well. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
Looking to secure financing on a new home or refinance your existing home? Then you need to do what Amy did and call David Hochberg, Vice President of Lending at Pearl Mortgage. Tony's heard hundreds of David's ads, but wanted to contact a realtor before purchasing a home in Naperville. Bad move. Not getting pre-qualified by David before talking with a realtor is like going commando while wearing white pants. Ugly. David answered Tony's questions, pre-qualified him to purchase a home, and introduced him to Kate Waddell in Home Sweet Home, Chicago's radio show's realtor in Naperville, to purchase a home. Purchasing a home can be overwhelming, but it won't be if you call David first. David can pre-qualify you for free and introduce you to his team of preferred realtors who will locate the perfect home. If you're purchasing a home and want to work with a team of real estate experts that's always on the lookout for your financial best interest, call David first, 312-751-1333, or visit am560david.com. David's helped Amy and Tony and thousands of WIND listeners, but he can't help you if you don't call 312-751-1333 or visit am560david.com. Pearl Mortgage, an equal housing lender, Illinois residential mortgage licensee 4358 and MLS 19186.
My name is Roosevelt. I always thought that cigarette smoking just messed up your lungs. I never thought that at only 45 would give me a heart attack. And I never thought that it would change my life forever. My tip is, do your heart a favor and quit now.
Heart attack risk drops as soon as you quit. Call 1-800-QUIT-NOW for help getting free medication, if available and eligible. That's 1-800-QUIT-NOW. A message from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention.
You're unique, so why is your mattress one size fits all? Because a custom mattress costs thousands, until now. Hi, I'm Christian von Rickenbach, founder of HelixSleep.com, where you can buy a mattress online, customized for you, for hundreds of dollars instead of thousands. Go to HelixSleep.com, answer a few simple questions, and we build you the most comfortable mattress you'll ever sleep on. Shipping is free, and you have 100 nights to try it out. Go to HelixSleep.com/try now and get $50 off your order. HelixSleep.com/try now.
If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Dan, and in for Amy this morning is Chicago Tribune editorial board member Kristen McQuarrie. We're talking about the stopgap budget that was passed by the General Assembly yesterday, signed by the governor. Also on the issue of his turnaround agenda, and one of those matters, redistricting reform, taking the map-making process out of political hands as much as can be made possible. Actually, I don't like this proposal as much as I like what they do in Iowa, but this is better than what we have. leaving the map making, the cartography to the likes of Madigan and Cullerton, and essentially, as the saying goes, having the politicians pick the voters rather than the voters pick the politicians. It was a Cook County judge who said yesterday she's going to issue a ruling by July 21st on whether a proposed constitutional amendment that would change the redistricting process to move it from the politicians to an independent commission, of course, appointed by politicians. So there's always going to be that stickiness to it, but it still would be an improvement. Whether that will appear on the ballot for you to vote on it this November, and we talked to the executive director of that initiative earlier in the week about the value of this proposal. So that's something that may not happen through the General Assembly, but could happen by the people with the imprimatur of the courts.
If it gets to stay on the ballot. I mean,
correct.
We sort of got to this point last time. We had signature challenges going on one hand and a court challenge on the other hand if it meets the constitutional requirements, and everything sort of collapsed at the last minute. So as much as I'm hopeful that it will be on the ballot, and by the way, let's emphasize the General Assembly could have put this on the ballot at any moment and chooses not to. So you had to go through this just exhaustive effort of collecting, 500,000 signatures or something insane. So I'm hopeful, but you also have the Democratic Party attorney who is extremely talented and knows election law better than anyone else probably in the state, fighting to get it knocked off.
Well, hopefully they learned the lesson from the effort 2 years ago, and I think they have. Certainly in terms of what they presented, it's different to address some of what the court said in striking down the ballot initiative 2 years ago. But, Cook County, anything can happen. Joanne in Schaumburg, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning, Dan. There's 2 points I would like to make about the money being spent in Illinois. The first one is the $3 billion taxpayers have to pay every year to support illegals in our cities and our state for education, incarceration, and health care. Secondly, the TIF funds. Each year, more than $500 million is withheld from the normal budgeting process and put in the TIF funds to be spent, as the Sun-Times described it years ago, as the mayor and the alderman's pot of gold to be given to their cronies and whoever they choose to give it to. It's time to dissolve the TIF funds and put the money back in the normal budgeting process, and to quit hitting the taxpayers for all their spending, drunken sailor spending, if you will. So those are my 2 points. I would love to see the Tribune do a story on the TIFs.
Thanks for the call, Joanne, and the story idea for Ms. McQueary. By the way, somebody on this radio station has called for an audit of the Chicago Public Schools for the students that aren't there that are being counted, as well as for students who are there who shouldn't be there. I hope somebody takes up that person's call.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
When I hear realtors boast about servicing a 3-county area or selling a home every 15 minutes, I think, what level of service could their clients possibly be getting? This is Chris Jacobs with Century 21 affiliated in Inverness, and my message is a little bit different. If being a realtor for more than 20 years has taught me one thing, it's that all real estate is local. While I can't say I'm the #1 realtor in the country, I can tell you that over the past 10 years, I've sold more homes in Inverness than anyone else. My team specializes in Inverness, Palatine, and Arlington Heights. We pride ourselves on providing our clients exceptional customer service and local market knowledge. So if you're selling your home or looking to purchase a property in our area, then call me, Chris Jacobs, at 847-401-4859. That's 847-401-4859. Or visit us at chrisjacobshomes.com.
Each office independently owned and operated. An equal housing opportunity.
AM 560. The Answer.
Coming up, Caitlyn Jenner can go to the front lines now. That's at 5:38. But now we check the headlines with Carnegie Mellon's finest, Dave Stewart.
Well, thank you, Dan. Thank you, Kristen. Good morning. 64 degrees in Chicago, 532 on AM 560, The Answer. Donald Trump's among those questioning a meeting between Bill Clinton and Attorney General Loretta Lynch. The Republican likely nominee told Fox News when he first heard about it, he said he couldn't believe it.
Well, when I first heard that yesterday afternoon, I actually thought they were joking. I thought the people that told me was, I said, no way. It's just no way that's going to happen.
The meeting between Lynch and Clinton happened at the Phoenix airport this week at a time when the former president's wife Hillary is under federal investigation. Lynch said they never discussed the email investigation and mostly talked about personal issues. 11 foreign nationals are in Turkish custody in connection with Tuesday's bombing in Istanbul. Foreigners are suspected of being members of a terrorist cell that's linked to the suicide bombers who attacked the Ataturk airport, killing 44 and wounding hundreds. General Assembly approved compromise stopgap spending and school funding bills that mean schools across the state will open on time, with Chicago schools getting additional help, and basic state services are funded until the end of the calendar year. House Speaker Michael Madigan says compromise became possible once Governor Rauner dropped his insistence on his so-called turnaround agenda.
Many previous efforts to implement a more comprehensive budget failed due to the governor's insistence on the inclusion of his agenda that would drive down middle-class wages and the standard of living.
But Rauner says he'll resume his push for reforms after the November election. The bill includes permission for Chicago schools to raise property taxes for teacher pensions. Cook County Board President Tony Preckwinkle says the county faces some difficult decisions in the year ahead, including possibly tax hikes and layoffs because revenues are expected to fall short of the county's needs by $174 million. Chicago police say 5 people were shot, 1 fatally, in an attack in the Longwood Manor neighborhood last night. The group was in the 9500 block of South Loomis when a gold-colored Buick LeSabre drove up with 4 people inside. 2 backseat passengers fired multiple shots, and a 37-year-old woman was shot in the head. She was pronounced dead at Holy Cross Hospital. In sports, the Cubs fell to the Mets 4-3, while the White Sox beat the Twins 6-5. And tonight, it's the Cubs in New York again, while the Sox visit Houston. News and service of Burger King's classic grilled dogs. Get to Burger King July 2nd and 3rd and try a classic grilled dog for just $1. All you have to do to get the $1 deal is go to Burger King and ask for the $1 deal on the classic grilled dog. At participating Burger King restaurants, limit 5 per transaction while supplies last. AM 560 News Time, 5:35. How bad's the traffic? We'll have the answer in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
What is this nonsense?
The Joe Walsh Show.
Time magazine had uncovered a question. Why did 49 people die? Why, are you serious? 49 innocent people lost their lives in Orlando because a Muslim terrorist killed them. There's your answer, you stupid media.
The Joe Walsh Show. Weeknights starting at 5. Right after Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Come to Cabela's 4th of July sale and gear up for Independence Day. Get 50% off a Caravan 10-foot by 10-foot shelter. Shop in-store at Hoffman Estates or Hammond or at Cabela's.com.
Safer USA, Chicago's most trusted name in firearm training, is offering beginners classes, tactical pistol and rifle, long-range rifle to 600 yards, and the most comprehensive Illinois concealed carry program available. AM 560 On Target Radio co-hosts David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz will prepare you to carry a firearm for personal protection, including firearm, holster, and ammunition selection. A comprehensive law review designed to keep you out of trouble and even how to deal with home invasions. Firearm, ammunition, holster, class notebook, and lunch are provided. Safer USA and the Aurora Sportsman's Club invite you to participate in this one-of-a-kind Illinois concealed carry program that also qualifies you for Florida, Utah, and Arizona non-resident permits. Find out what over 6,000 students already know at saferusa.com.
Or call 815-741-3474. That's 815-741-3474. Safer USA. Choosing to own a firearm is your business. Teaching you to own it responsibly is ours.
Global unrest, political uncertainty, economic policy changes. If only you had a crystal ball to predict how the stock market's going to perform. What would that look like? You'd have all your finances in top shape and be prepared for anything the market throws at you. Sound impossible? Not with Online Trading Academy. They'll help you get all the inside info to make those informed decisions so you can become your own expert. It's easy to get started. Just call 888-984-TRADE to receive 2 free passes to a half-day workshop at Online Trading Academy's Lombard Training Center. You'll learn how to start calling the shots so you can make money when the markets go up, down, or sideways. Again, this is a free seminar with limited seating, so call now, 888-984-TRADE, or register online at otaclass.com. Mention AM560 and get a free home video study course valued at $247 just for attending. Learn from the pros and reserve your seat today.
At 5:37, let's check the roads from the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. Here's Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, David. I-80 westbound traffic is stop and go from Chicago Street to the Des Plaines River Bridge due to a crash in the left lane. Inbound Kennedy, the entrance ramp from North Avenue is partially blocked with police activity. Main lanes of the Kennedy are fine. No delays to report. The Edens, the Eisenhower yet. Stevenson is still good. Inbound Orion, stop and go, sir, back to the Burn Circle. 19 minutes, 95th to downtown. Bishop Ford got a 3-minute delay from Cottage Grove to the Ryan. Traffic is a service of Bank of America. Want cash back at Costco, Sam's Club, and BJ's today? Use your Bank America card, Cash Rewards Visa credit card, and earn 2% cash back at wholesale clubs. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/getcashback. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
More of Chicago's Morning Answer next, but now the forecast, a service of aircomfort.com, providing the right climate for business since 1935. A pleasant day, clouds and sun mixed with a high of 73. Patchy clouds tonight, cool temperatures low 55. Sunny and pleasant tomorrow with patchy clouds and a high of 79. Right now, 64 degrees at O'Hare. Next news update, 6 o'clock. Get continuous coverage of the latest news, traffic, and weather at 560theanswer.com. Now, more of Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Real Estate Revealed with Randy Barcella. Heard each and every Sunday at 8 a.m. on AM 560, The Answer.
If you're talking about it, I'll be talking about it. Dennis Prager here. Join me this morning at 11, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan. And in for Amy this morning is Kristen McQuarrie, Chicago Tribune editorial board member. So yesterday, Secretary of Defense Ash Carter took to the podium to announce once and for all that the ban on persons who are transgender openly serving in the military has been lifted. Good idea. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro. Answer line 64636DA, turnkey.pro. Text line. Be particularly interested to hear from military, whether active duty or veterans, on the topic. Now, there's a couple of contingencies here. There's still a requirement that enlistees have held a stable gender identity for 18 months prior to enlisting. So it puts a bit of a waiting period on those undergoing hormone therapy, which, of course, has drawn some objections from advocates in the LGBTQRSTUVWXY community. But Carter, in announcing the policy, had this to say.
Effective immediately, transgender Americans may serve openly, and they can no longer be discharged or otherwise separated from the military just for being transgender.
All right. And just to give you kind of an order of magnitude here, the study that's most often cited with respect to the incidence of transgender persons in the military found, RAND Corporation study found that about, of the 1.3 million active duty service members, about 2,400 were transgender. And that every year about 65 service members will seek to make a gender transition based on the actuarial tables, I guess, the predictive modeling by the RAND Corporation. So what do you think about this? What do you make of this?
This just feels like a solution in search of a problem. I mean, if you actually do the math on that, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but that number of transgender military personnel that we're talking about is something like 0.02 or 3% of all of active duty military. So, there are testimonials coming out now from people who went through this. It just seems like they experienced, a transgender themselves. There was really no issue. I don't have a problem with the military coming out and saying, we're not going to kick you out if you are transgender. But now we're talking about having, taxpayers pick up the cost of breast implants, hormone therapy, surgeries, and all of that to me calls into mind just the mental stability that is required to serve in the military. and now we're dealing with this. I'm unclear as to the urgency and the scope of this, that we have the defense secretary taking time to lay out this sort of a new policy change.
Well, I mean, I suppose if you have the nuts to do it, then it's okay, or if you can get them. So to your point,
it's too early. I haven't had enough coffee for your sophomore humor yet, but I'll catch up.
You better get some coffee, because there's a lot more sophomore humor in the last 3.5 hours.
Now
I'll tell you that right now.
Picked this to talk about.
So Charles Krauthammer sort of picked up on the point you were making. He's not necessarily opposed to the policy, but the timing of it, the rank order of priority with the threats facing this country, and by extension our front line of defense, the U.S. military, he finds it a bit curious. This is Krauthammer on Special Report.
The job of the Pentagon is to fight wars and keep us safe. You're getting the impression that in the middle of wartime, and this is wartime, the Pentagon is entirely devoted to social experimentation and social work. I have no objection to the change in policy in and of itself, but is this what the Pentagon should be working on at a time when the policy ought to be to direct the armed forces and the training to win a war that is killing people everywhere from Orlando to Ankara? I just think the priorities are completely out of whack.
Well, I think the priorities are out of whack. I think he makes the point. I think there's more that is troublesome about this than just the priorities. I think you were speaking to some of it, Kristen. Ash Carter went on to also add this in his remarks yesterday.
What I heard from the transgender service members I met with overwhelmingly was that they don't want special treatment. They want to be held to the same standards and be treated like everybody else.
You know, that's a big lie, right? We understand that. Every time we're going to change the standards to abide somebody who wants the system changed to comply with their views, you by definition alter the standards. That you by definition are not treating everybody the same. There is not this absolute set of standards that if you abide them or if you can meet them, then that's it. And if you can't meet them, then that's also it. You don't have in the U.S. military, much as Ash Carter would like you to believe, the Yosemite Sam sign. You know, if you're tall enough, you can ride this ride, and if you're not, you can't. It's not that clear at all. We've seen it with women in Ranger School and their dubious ability to meet the actual standards of Army Rangers versus getting passed through to make a political statement, going to the social experimentation of Krauthammer. And every time you hear that phrase, they don't want to be treated any differently. Well, okay, so when the medical care of those seeking transition is projected to cost $2.9 to $4.2 million a year for the Pentagon, is that being treated differently? I mean, well, if they provide medical care to all persons who are enlisted. Yes, they do. But do they provide medical care for elective surgery?
I don't know. I almost think...
you know, I mean, all of this idea, the idea that when we completely redefine the standards of an institution to accommodate individuals, that we don't change the standards, that everybody just gets treated the same. No. It's the opposite. People get carve-outs. That's exactly what happens. And that's what the social experimentation is all about. It's carve-outs. And it's holding different people with the same job to different standards.
I think it will worsen the environment for transgender people in the military because, as I said earlier, I think this is a solution in search of a problem. There's a testimonial that the Daily Beast has out from Army Sergeant Ken Ochoa, who's 26, who transitioned in 2014. He never formally told his commander about his decision. The commander never asked about it, even as his voice changed. And his whole story basically says his experience was that service members were quick to embrace other transgender service members that they knew personally. So, you know, we're going to intervene and create some sort of a solution to a problem that really doesn't exist anyway.
Well, so this goes to the point. This is very much like racial politics in a sense that, you know, what I find in my daily life, I find that people of different races, religions, I find they get along quite well, actually. I've rarely been in a situation where I've seen an incident boil over because of racial hatred. What I find, however, is that when demagogic politicians get involved, that's when racial tensions are inflamed. So, I know, to your point, kind of about the Ochoa story and the personal interaction, people get along quite well. People don't like to treat other people. Most people don't treat other people unfairly and don't, they want to be considered good people. They try and be decent to one another. Most people. There are exceptions. But you don't make policy based on the idiotic exceptions. And so, yeah, right. This is the state intervening as part of the overall Alinskyite leftist agenda to remake America. That's what it is. And there's nothing like remaking the front line of defense for a nation to remake the nation. Kent in Lincoln Park.
Hey, good morning, guys. Yeah, you basically said exactly what I'm going to say. Whether it was Ferguson, George Zimmerman, the bathroom issue, whether it's the military issue, whether it's the cop acting stupidly, and that, I think, that comment's a little bit more insightful into the way the president's personal feelings are. These people hate the police. They hate society in America, and they want to tear it down. The only thing they care about is their individualistic power structure. And that's the way liberals, I think, think. And that's where they're headed, to try to tear down all the values that we've built up in this country.
Thanks for the call, Kent. Tom in Schaumburg.
Yeah, this ought to scare the hell out of ISIS. But my thought on saving money is, why don't we just take all the guys that want to be women and all the women that want to be guys and match them up, and then we can just do head transplants on them. That ought to fix everything.
Thanks, Tom.
Klinger! Sir! How dare you wear that hat while in uniform? It's spring, sir.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
I'll tell you what, Klinger, that's no way out of the military anymore. Nice try, Klinger.
So your forecast today, only a high of 70. As Dan says, if you're going to the beach, this is not a thong day. It's too cold for that. Partly cloudy. Tomorrow it will get up to 78, hopefully, a little warmer. How are the roads, Jim Talamonte?
Kristen, right now things are lighter than normal on the area expressways and tollways. There is on the inbound Kennedy a partial blockage of the on-ramp from North Avenue. It's police activity in that area. The main lanes of the Kennedy are fine. All clear on the Edens. Inbound Eisenhower, getting a little bit congested past Manheim. But again, it's lighter than normal. Inbound Stevenson, got a 1-minute delay central to Pulaski. Inbound Ryan, 5 minutes worth of delays from the Stevenson to the Burns Circle. I-57 is still good. Bishop Ford a little heavy approaching the merge. Got a 5-minute delay there starting at 103rd. Tollways are fine. What overnight road work there was is now clearing. No delays at the moment in northwest Indiana. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
Change in the market shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. In fact, since World War II, we've seen a correction on average about once every 18 months. That's why Arlington Capital Management developed proprietary tools that help them to see what's beyond your investment horizon. Like an experienced ship captain uses tools to avoid stormy weather, Arlington Capital Management uses tools to guide you through market corrections before it's too late and help us decide when to capitalize on opportunity. Call Arlington Capital Management today at 855-471-5796 to learn how their active management systems can help you. Each day, they actively explore the market, our economy, and all the variables that affect your investments. Stormy markets never cloud their vision. The professionals at Arlington Capital Management use their tools and experience to guide them. Call Arlington Capital Management today at 855-471-5796 for a financial review. The number again is 855-471-5796 or learn more at arlington-capital.com.
If you suffer sinus congestion, trouble breathing through your nose, which gets worse when you lie down, facial pain, and sinus infections, antibiotics, nasal sprays, and steroids can only do so much. I'm Dr. Robert Deitch and excited to tell you that recent advances in our field have opened exciting new doors. We're leading experts in a newer procedure called balloon sinus dilation that gently expands your natural sinus openings to fix underlying drainage problems. It takes 15 minutes and is performed in our office. Balloon sinus dilation is minimally invasive using local anesthesia and best of all delivers immediate and long-lasting relief. We're board-certified ENT specialists who can help you avoid expensive hospital visits and long recovery times.
For immediate and long-lasting relief from your sinus problems, call ENT Associates today at 847-882-5888 or visit nosinusproblems.com. That's ENT Associates at 847-882-5888 or online at nosinusproblems.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Well, not Amy today, because Kristen McQuarrie from the Chicago Tribune is in for Amy. But listen to this, Kristen. All this concern we have about, different genders and gender benders in the military, this is all going to go away because we're all going to be replaced by robots by 2025. And you think I'm kidding, don't you? I'm not kidding. And let me enter this into evidence before you even go down the road to scoff at what I'm saying.
I was rolling my eyes.
Futurologist, I'm quoting a noted futurologist here to substantiate my case, Dr. Ian Pearson, has claimed that sleeping with robots will be as common for women as watching, soon, by 2025, as common for women as watching porn is today.
You mean cuddling with a robot?
Let me be more specific. Women will have more sex with robots than men by 2025, as robophilia is set to relegate romance to the ash heap of history.
Mm-hmm. Some women would say maybe they're already sleeping with robots.
Hi-ho.
Mm-hmm.
Ouch. And the robots will play that music that you hear when they consort with the females.
It is perfect.
Be fairer sex. Sex with robots isn't new, as, so I've heard.
Mm-hmm.
Wide range of mechanical partners for humans out there, of course, I've heard.
Why is this only targeting women? What about men sleeping with robotic women? Why isn't that covered? Equality.
Yeah.
Demanding equality in the robotics industry.
Oh, so that's one point of order. So men are obsolete. I mean, men have been obsolete for a long time.
That is true.
It's going to be, we're going to go to just transgender and women in the military, and then we're going to transition to robots, at least some robots, to make love to the remaining women in the military. But then there's this. Don't need lawyers anymore, so this is on the good news front. I guess they're both good news, pieces of good news, sort of. A 19-year-old's robot lawyer overturned 160,000 parking tickets. A 19-year-old prodigy at Stanford University, who's originally from London, developed this chatbot called Do Not Pay that helps people dispute parking violations in just 30 seconds and has negated 160,000 fines since its launch last year. Now, it's only available in London, and now New York and Seattle is forthcoming. And it basically takes the rules that a municipality has for disputing parking tickets, and rather than having to waste your time going to court and take a day off work and make the cost-benefit analysis of trying to get out of I don't know, what's the parking tickets here, like $2,000?
Like $5,500. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. So rather than do that, or should I take a day off work to go dispute this $100 parking ticket or whatever, you can just do it all online in 30 seconds. It's really genius. Although Mr. Browder, Joshua Browder, who created this in about 3 months, by the way. 3 months.
Currently in his second year at Stanford.
3 months it took to create this. Think about the billions of dollars we spend on governments at every level that just run the same Soviet-style systems for everything, including, of course, parking tickets, because, you can't fight City Hall. Browder did say it's really difficult as every city has different laws. The U.S. parking authorities are less likely to dismiss tickets. In the U.K., they're a lot more fair. That's been his experience comparing London to New York, for example. Wait until you get a lot of Chicago, kid.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
The success of a mid-sized business often comes down to one thing: managing your cash flow. I'm Ann Dollagall, Treasury Management Executive at Signature Bank. At Signature Bank, we take a personalized and proactive approach to structuring your cash management solutions to keep your financial assets safe and working for you. Our automated accounts receivable and accounts payable technology allows your business to grow without adding to your overhead expenses. And what truly sets Signature Bank apart is our personal approach. We get to know your business by rolling up our sleeves to work alongside you. Call me today for a review of your company's operational challenges.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. Learn more about turning your business vision into reality. Visit signature-bank.com. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
ChicagoRadioDeals.com can help you spiff up your home and auto. Wash away the road grime and dirt with a great deal from Fuller's Car Wash of Elk Grove Village. A full-service car wash package includes a wash, vacuum, windows, a dash wipe down, an $18 deal for only $10. Wow. Give your home the clean it needs with an excellent deal from the Grout Medic of LaGrange. Grout Medic offers a shower touch-up that includes a steam clean of your shower tile and grout, or choose a clean and color seal floor package for your kitchen or bathroom floor tile. Each deal, $110. And shop at a great local hardware store with personal customer service. Purchase the Addison Building Materials $100 gift certificate for only $50. Addison Building Materials is a true value retailer. So tackle your home improvement projects with help from your good friends over at ChicagoRadioDeals.com.
When you hear the word chiller, the first thing that pops into your mind may be a frozen drink from your favorite convenience store. If you run a business or you're a maintenance engineer, you know of a different kind of chiller, the mechanical one that keeps you, your employees, and customers cool in the summer. And with this summer predicted to be hotter than normal, you don't want to get stuck on one of those 90-plus degree days with no AC. Better call Air Comfort and get your chiller tuned up and running at peak performance. A professional inspection can find small problems before they become big problems, and proper maintenance can keep your system from wasting energy and money. Air Comfort will make sure your equipment is clean and obstacle-free. And if your AC is about to or has stopped working, they can install temporary solutions to keep you cool while the long-term fixes are put in place. The key is preventative maintenance, and Air Comfort can help. Schedule a comprehensive assessment of your mechanical system today. Call 708-345-1900 or visit aircomfort.com. Air Comfort, providing the right climate for business since 1935.
Coming up at 6:06, Democrats calling for Loretta Lynch to recuse herself from the Hillary Clinton investigation. Racist. That's coming up after we check the headlines with Dave Stewart.
Among the stories we're watching, a state budget deal means schools will open on time. We'll have the local headlines after an update from Fox News on AM 560 The Answer, WIND Chicago, where it's 6 o'clock.
Fox News Radio, I'm Dave Anthony. Happy New Year. For all but 4 states, their fiscal years start today, July 1st, and when some new laws also take effect, but not some controversial ones. In Florida, Indiana, and Mississippi, Fox's Tanya J. Powers details the struck-down laws live.
3 federal judges, 3 blocked laws. Let's start with Mississippi. That law would have let merchants and government employees cite religious beliefs in denying or delaying services to same-sex couples. A judge blocked it moments before it was to take effect today. An appeal is expected. Now, in Indiana, the judge blocked a state law banning abortion sought because of genetic abnormalities in the fetus. And in Florida, a new law there would have prevented any state money from going to an organization that also provided abortions. That's also blocked by a federal judge. Dave.
I'm telling you, a lot of Americans are going places. AAA expects record 4th of July weekend travel. 43 million of us hitting the road. Most will go by car, paying gas prices about a $0.50 cheaper than last year. For those flying, there's increased airport security.
Well, the debate has been renewed about whether the security perimeter at airports should be pushed back even further. That's in the wake of what happened in Istanbul and Brussels, because those terror attacks happened outside of the security checkpoints.
That's Fox's Anna Koyman at New York's JFK Airport. President Obama is expected to issue an executive order to make protecting civilians a more integral part of the planning in U.S. military operations. And he's also expected to detail the number of civilians killed in U.S. drone strikes in Pakistan, Yemen, and Africa since he took office. They're on strike in Atlantic City. About 1,000 workers walked off their jobs an hour ago at Trump Taj Mahal. That's a casino mostly owned by billionaire Carl Icahn. They went on the picket lines over a contract dispute. It's been a tough time in Atlantic City. 4 casinos shut down in 2014. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Good morning. It's 64 degrees in Chicago. It's 6:02 on AM 560 The Answer. I'm David Stewart. We've got a sunny and pleasant day ahead with a high of 73. Mayor Emanuel says Chicago Public Schools will open on time this fall after state lawmakers passed a stopgap budget deal. He told reporters yesterday the district has a brighter future because of the actions in Springfield.
If we're healthy, the state is healthy. And the good news is, with this honest compromise, our kids, our taxpayers, our teachers aren't a stepchild in the state.
One bill approved yesterday provides an extra $100 million in state aid for CPS. The Board of Education was also given the authority to raise property taxes to fund teacher pensions. Passage of the budget puts off the fight over Governor Rauner's reform agenda, but doesn't end it. He said yesterday it will resume in November, although he admits the election will have an impact on his chances.
If there is a greater balance in the General Assembly between the Republicans and Democrats, I think the odds of very significant reforms are much higher. If there's less balance, could be the opposite.
The budget passed yesterday did not include any of Rauner's pro-business, anti-union ideas. Chicago police say 5 people were shot, 1 fatally, in an attack in the Longwood Manor neighborhood last night. The group was in the 9500 block of South Loomis when a Buick LeSabre drove up with 4 people inside. 2 backseat passengers fired multiple shots. Starting today, only people aged 21 and older will be able to buy cigarettes and other tobacco products in Chicago. The city will also impose new taxes on retailers who sell tobacco products, including cigars and smokeless tobacco. The state's medical marijuana program will operate for at least another 2.5 years. Governor Rauner signed a bill yesterday to extend the pilot program until July of 2020. The measure also expands the list of qualifying conditions to include PTSD and terminal illnesses. In sports, the Cubs lost to the Mets 4-3, while the White Sox beat the Twins 6-5. Tonight, Cubs are in New York again, while the Sox visit Houston. News and service of Burger King's grilled classic dogs. Get to Burger King July 2nd and 3rd and try a classic grilled dog for just $1. All you have to do to get the $1 deal is go to Burger King, ask for the $1 deal on the classic grilled dog. It's at participating Burger King restaurants. Limit 5 per transaction while supplies last. AM 560 News Time 6:04. Time to check the climate of your business with aircomfort.com, providing the right climate for business since 1935. We've got traffic in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Sean Hannity can't believe the president is still bringing in Syrian refugees.
I said that if one person dies as a result of Hillary and Obama's policy, they'd have blood on their hands. I hold them responsible because they're not listening to James Clapper, James Comey, Michael Steinbeck, the House Homeland Security Chairman, and all these other people. They refuse to listen to them.
The Sean Hannity Show. Afternoons at 2, right before Joe Walsh at 5 on AM 560. The Answer.
Raise your hand if you think you know what identity theft is. Just kidding. This is a radio commercial. We can't tell if your hand is up. But we can tell you that if you think identity theft is when someone adds charges to your credit card, you're only partially right. Identity theft is when someone pretends to be you, to open new accounts in your name, or any number of other bad things. That's where LifeLock can help. We use proprietary technology to detect and alert you to a whole range of identity threats. And if you have a problem, our U.S.-based team of specialists will work to fix it. You'll get more protection with LifeLock than you get from free credit monitoring alone. Obviously, no one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions at all businesses, but LifeLock is the best identity theft protection available. Join LifeLock right now and get a special 15% discount off your first year. Visit LifeLock.com and use promo code 15OFF. That's 15 off to take advantage of an incredible 15% discount off your first year. Act now. Offer ends July 3rd. Go to LifeLock.com and enter promo code 15OFF. LifeLock.
At 6:06, let's check the roads from the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. Here's Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, David. On the inbound Eisenhower, traffic is slow now between 1st Avenue and Harlem. It's about 31 minutes. Thorndale to downtown, outbound 5 at 29. The Edens is delay-free. Kennedy, looking good, just getting a little congested coming out of the River Road Toll Plaza. Mount Stevenson, heavy central to Cudsey. 37 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 5 at 34. Ryan is 23 minutes, 95th to downtown. Bishop Ford inbound before 159th crash. Car hit the wall, actually at 168th. It's slow from around before 159th Street. It's about 21 minutes from 8094 to the Ryan. Northbound Tri-State slow from the Reagan Tollway to the Eisenhower. The other tollways are good. And traffic is a service of Napa Auto Parts. This July, spend $25 at participating Napa Auto Parts stores, and they'll not only donate $1 to the Intrepid Fallen Heroes Fund, but you'll get a free Napa Patriotic Racing Cap, keeping your car and America running strong. That's Napa know-how while supplies last. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
More of Chicago's Morning Answer next, but now the forecast, a service of aircomfort.com, providing the right climate for business since 1935. Here's meteorologist Kevin Snyder.
Today, intervals of clouds and sunshine, high of 70. Cool night tonight with patchy clouds, low 55. Sunshine and patchy clouds for tomorrow, high of 78, and a clear night, low 59. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
66 at the lakefront in Midway, 63 degrees now at O'Hare. Next news, 6:30. Get continuous coverage of the latest news, traffic, and weather at 560theanswer.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues now on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Turnkey IT, giving you the freedom to focus on your business while they handle the technical stuff. Turnkey IT.
Good morning. Welcome to your Friday morning briefing. Here's what you need to know to start your day.
I believe and I firmly hope that right now we've hit the bottom. This is the low point in the evolution of Illinois.
Effective immediately, transgender Americans may serve openly.
Both the President and the Attorney General understand how important it is for the Department of Justice to conduct investigations that are free of political interference.
And I don't think it sends the right signal. I think she should have steered clear even of a brief, casual social meeting with the former president.
How bad a judgment is it for him or for her to do this? I mean, who would do this?
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan. And in for Amy this morning is Kristen McQuarrie from the Chicago Tribune editorial board. And Kristen, the recusals or the calls for Loretta Lynch to recuse herself from the Hillary Clinton criminal email and foundation investigation coming from Democrats who obviously are racist because she's black. So that's the only explanation. So racist Democrats calling for Loretta Lynch to recuse herself. But the question is, do you agree she should recuse herself, hand it off to one of her deputies? What difference would that make? And let me, before you answer that question, let me also say that a DOJ official told the New York Times that Loretta Lynch will announce today that she plans to accept whatever recommendation career prosecutors in the FBI make regarding charges related to the Clinton investigation. So she's taking a hands-off approach. The concern that Jim Comey recommends charges be filed and a case be prosecuted against Hillary, and the Loretta Lynch kills it. She's set to announce today, according to the New York Times, that no, that won't happen. I'll do whatever Jim Comey, he was great. Hall of Famer.
You're close, just off by one consonant.
Jim Comey. I think Jim Comey would do a better job, and he'd wrap this up quicker. James Comey, whatever recommendation he makes, effectively, she will adhere to that recommendation. That's what she's going to announce today. Because here's the problem with that meeting that she had with Bill Clinton on the tarmac at Phoenix Airport. You know, kind of private, ad hoc, ex parte meet and conversation she had with Bill Clinton, which I'm sure she said they just talked about their grandchildren and Brexit. And I mean, Bill Clinton, paragon of virtue and truth, and Loretta Lynch for that matter. I mean, obviously we have to take them at their word, obviously. But here's one of the problems that Loretta Lynch has. In addition to any not abiding the common sense of any first-year law student, to avoid the appearance of impropriety in a case in which you are involved as the lead prosecutor, effectively, as the oversight. She also violated Department of Justice ethics guidelines in addition to the canons. Appearance of impropriety, I'm reading from the manual. I mean, if you believe this is the standard, I don't know if you think she violated this or not. An employee shall endeavor to avoid any actions creating the appearance that the employee is violating the law or the ethical standards set forth in this part. That's from the Department of Justice Ethics Handbook for all their employees. Did she avoid the appearance of violation of the law or ethical standards?
When I first heard this story, I actually thought the media was making a big deal out of nothing. They just ran into each other at the airport and they had a quick conversation. No, that is not what happened. I mean, how does Bill Clinton even know the schedule, the comings and goings of the U.S. Attorney General so that he can be on the tarmac waiting for her? Then he boards her plane and they have a 30-minute conversation.
About the grandkids.
Well, you know what? I don't think they probably did talk about the investigation. But you know what? They don't have to. That's like what I hear from Democratic lawmakers all the time in Springfield. Mike Madigan doesn't tell me how to vote. He doesn't have to.
He just raises an eyebrow.
This was,
and you know what to do, right?
Bill
exactly.
Clinton's own advisors have said this was probably his way of trying to feel her out on the investigation without crossing that line. He is the master manipulator. So I know all of the onus is on her. She is, our public servant and in the middle of an investigation. But this, to me, this just embodies the problem of Bill Clinton. I want to read a quick paragraph from a story about him in 2009. Bill Clinton, the youngest president in American history, the first baby boomer. For many, he embodied the characteristics of that pampered generation. The spoiled child's sense of entitlement, a self-centeredness verging on narcissism, a proneness to moral relativism, and a habit of blaming others for his own failings. His formative experiences were not the hardships and sacrifices of the Great Depression or the Second World War, but the rebellious 60s and the bitterly contested war in Vietnam. And I just think that the whole story of Bill Clinton and how he tries to manipulate is just embodied in this story with Loretta Lynch.
Yeah, this is the story of Clinton Inc., both of them. The rules don't apply. And I mean, when I say rules, I include federal law does not apply to them. And Loretta Lynch, Judicial Watch, which is the shadow attorney general, done more investigation of the email scandal than I think the FBI and Justice combined. They issued a release yesterday calling for the Justice Office's, the DOJ's Inspector General to investigate the meeting between Bill Clinton and Loretta Lynch as well. Here's my thing. Why? What's the point? What's the point? A recusal, so she hands it off to a deputy, another flunky that's a tool of the regime. Or an investigation. Oh, is that what we need? Another interminably long investigation that lasts 6-8 months, and the conclusion is mistakes were made, badness was done, and, we need to be better going forward, blah, blah, blah. Who cares? Leave it. The system is exactly what Trump says it is, so leave it. And just let the voters decide if they want this kind of regime, continue to have this kind of regime in power, or if they want to do something else. And that was essentially Trump's, it wasn't his reaction in toto, but he made the point about talking about the system being rigged, and this being another example of it yesterday when he was on our colleague Mike Gallagher show.
I've been talking about the rigged system, how it's rigged, and, this is terrible, and
There's
nobody can understand why nothing's happened.
Right.
And you see a thing like this, and even in terms of judgment, how bad a judgment is it for him or for her to do this? I mean, who would do this?
Right. He's right. But here's the thing. I'm so sick of the hand-wringing. I'm tired of doing it myself because it goes nowhere. Do whatever. Be lawless. It's the rule of men and women in power in this country and in this state and in this city, here in Illinois and Chicago. It's fine. And if that's what people want to abide, if that's what people want to step aside and watch happen to the society in which they live, the freedoms they enjoy or used to, then okay. But all of this, recuse yourself like that's some kind of solution. It's a false solution. Another Inspector General report, false solution. It gives the appearance of an accountability that doesn't actually exist. And you don't have to believe me. Believe all these racist Democrats who are questioning the propriety of the meeting. Let's start with liberal Journalistic icon, Carl Bernstein.
This plays right into Trump's hand, but the terrible thing is the incredible lapse in judgment by both the Attorney General and Bill Clinton. It's inexplicable, it's wrong, it's improper, and she needs the Attorney General to now recuse herself from overseeing this investigation and turn it over to the Deputy Attorney General in charge of the Criminal Division. It's unthinkable that she can go on being in charge of this investigation.
Oh, it's unthinkable. Yeah, right. And so Jake Tapper should have asked the follow-up. Okay, and then what happens? The Deputy Attorney General? Do you have more confidence in the even-handedness and the independence of whatever the outcome of this investigation is, or the operation of the Justice Department generally, if a Deputy Attorney General appointed by Loretta Lynch and Barack Obama in concert with one another essentially takes over to head it up? Is that's gonna materially change how that department operates?
What about James Comey, though? I mean, you've defended him before. He is seen as sort of a stopgap in all of the, chaos and political influence.
Yeah.
He's seen as really independent. I mean, imagine what this did to whatever investigation he's trying to complete. No matter what he does now, it's tainted. It was tainted before, But the fact that she's coming out today and saying, I will abide whatever he recommends, that's a pretty big step forward, because in the past when she's been pressed on that, she has admitted that actually it's up to her, however it proceeds.
Yeah. Well, that's the good news about a den of thieves from our perspective. The good news is that they'll work to save themselves. So Loretta Lynch is going to make this statement, apparently, to salvage herself and her reputation. And if that means that somebody else's political interests or reputation may have to suffer, so be it. Now, could they get to Jim Comey? I don't know. Is Jim Comey going to play politics with us? I don't know. I mean, we talk to people that I have tremendous respect for, like Andy McCarthy, who writes over at National Review, who's a former assistant U.S. attorney in New York, prosecuted the terrorist responsible for the first World Trade Center bombing. He knows Comey, says he's a man of impeccable integrity and independence, and he really does try and stay above and around the political fray, outside of it, I should say. So we're going to see. But, Comey is on the clock. 150 agents, and here's the thing. I don't think it's tainted because you have her dead to rights on the email matter. And to the extent the Clinton Foundation matter is more complicated, that's fine, but 150 agents over several months can unpack this. Peter Schweitzer did. He wrote a book about it. Some kind of just interested citizens have done a good job tracking the reporting or lack of proper reporting of the Clinton Foundation with respect to the strictures under which nonprofits like that foundation must operate within the bounds of the law. So when is this coming? We're, weeks from the Republican and Democrat conventions. Let's get to it already. This idea we have a major party nominee under federal investigation and the FBI is just kind of, we're on our own timeline that we're not going to disclose. I understand not setting a date, but get it done. You have the resources. You've had plenty of time. We've seen so much information that has been leaked out that removes much of the doubt about what Hillary did and why she did it. So get on with it. Otherwise, you spend all this time and you come up with, there's nothing to see here. That plays into Trump's hands, too. But listen, more Democrats. Listen to liberal Democrat Senator Chris Coons from Delaware on the topic.
And I'm convinced that she is an independent attorney general. But I do think that this meeting sends the wrong signal. And I don't think it sends the right signal. I think she should have steered clear even of a brief, casual social meeting with the former president.
Obviously she should. And, here's the other problem with Loretta Lynch. She's too smart to be that dumb. That's the real problem. In other words, you don't think that somebody who's been a prosecutor for decades knows I am not even a former president of the United States. Here's the thing, Mr. President, we can't have a conversation because of what's going on with the investigation. That's the obvious play. She knows what that play is.
Do you think she didn't know it was going to be discovered? Do you think she would, or do you think there's a part of her that's a little starstruck by Bill Clinton and she wanted to, talk to him? And I don't see her as wanting to get information out of this meeting. He set it up. He wanted to, he showed up in her airplane. I don't, maybe they just thought it was going to be private. They're surrounded by their own, security.
Yeah, but that's no defense.
No, it's not a defense at all.
Too smart to be that stupid. She knew what she was doing by violating the canons, by violating the ethical standards of the office to avoid appearances of impropriety, regardless of the content of that conversation. Maybe somebody whispered into her ear about this meeting. He's going to be in Phoenix. Have a conversation with him. He wants to talk to you briefly.
Do you think they talked about the investigation? I don't. But I don't think it's necessary.
Well, that's it. We know this from Chicago Democrat politics. You can get information without talking explicitly about the subject you want information about. A wink and a nod here and there, a facial expression. I completely agree with that. Mark and Addison.
Hey, good morning, Dan. The way that I see it, Slick Willie and Sweet Loretta had a secret meeting and got caught red-handed. It's being reported that the FBI had a large contingency right there on hand that forbid anybody from taking any videos or pictures of that meeting, and some local yokel made the mistake of reporting it. He'll probably be fired for doing this.
Wow.
What I want to know is, did an envelope move from Slick Willie's hands to Sweet Loretta's full of Clinton Foundation cash? And if so, how much did to sweep it under the rug?
Thanks for the call, Mark. They're probably a little too sophisticated to do here's $5,000 to make it worth your while kind of transaction. I don't think that was part of it. But as you said, none of that needs to happen for everybody to know what they're supposed to do. Sean in Homewood.
Hey, Dan and Kristen. I could be wrong, but I'm thinking that the Attorney General said that they talked about the president's grandchildren. That's plural. I think the president has only one grandchild. If she doesn't know how many grandchildren he has, how much time did they spend on that topic?
Well, they do have
thanks
two.
for the call, Sean.
Chelsea just had a second child.
Yeah.
A few weeks ago.
Thanks
so
for that. Kristen McQuarrie's on Chelsea Beat.
Yeah.
When she's not covering state
I'm up
government.
To my People magazine subscription is, arriving at my doorstep. So I'm on top of the birth issue.
Jordan in Forest Park.
Yeah, Dan, hey, there could be a simple explanation as to why Loretta Lynch is now going to say, I'm going to abide by what the FBI comes out with, because she's already been given a heads up exactly what's going to happen. So she can now say, yeah, I'm going to be impartial. I'm going to she already knows the outcome. And I think that'll play right into Trump's
the system is
campaign.
rigged. Yeah, the system is rigged rap. That's right. Thanks, Jordan.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Your weather today, just a high of 70. A little cooler today, partly cloudy. Tomorrow, temperatures will rise again. We'll get up to 78 degrees, but 2 lovely days back to back. How are the roads, Jim Telemonte?
Well, Kristen, things are really jammed on the near northwest side at the intersection of Grand Avenue, Milwaukee, and Holstead. The traffic lights are malfunctioning there. On the expressways, it's lighter than normal. No delays to report on the Edens. The Kennedy's still fine. Inbound Eisenhower, got about a 3-minute delay from Manheim to First Avenue. Outbound, it's still good. Stevenson, just a 3-minute delay central to Kedzie. The Ryan, now with 10 minutes worth of delays. 25 minutes, 95th to downtown. Outbound, it's clear. I-57, Bishop Ford, just fine. Northbound Tri-State heavy from the Reagan Tollway to the Eisenhower. The other tollways are good. You will have plenty of traffic around the city this weekend, including tonight. You've got concerts at Soldier Field in Ravinia. You've got a soccer game in Bridgeview with the Fire at Home. And, of course, numerous festivals throughout the area. Jim Talamonte of the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
Hi, this is Dr. David Kolbaba. So you get yourself one of those blood tests with all the poking and prodding. They're always looking for some kind of bad news. Most blood tests these days are very lacking, only screening you for the big, bad, and ugly diseases, and with you never really getting the good news, or even knowing what to do with the not-so-good news. So let me tell you about our dirt-cheap comprehensive blood test. First of all, we'll be testing a wide variety of different health factors, and not just the ugly few. And then we're going to sit down with you and strategize with all that we learned from your blood test findings. And I promise that you're going to know more about what you can do to help improve your health using a more natural, common sense approach. And for over 33 years, we've been very successful at setting people free from their toxic medications. It's our dirt cheap, comprehensive blood test. Call 800-794-1855. You can't get any cheaper than dirt cheap. That's 800-794-1855. Be sure to tune in to Health Quest Radio with me, Dr. David Kolbaba, this Saturday morning at 11.
available in all states. Whoa, what do you have there?
It's a Reese and Irvy's frozen yogurt. We just had our robot make one.
A robot made your frozen yogurt?
Yes, the world's first fully interactive robot vending machine that serves 9 flavors of delicious yogurt with 6 amazing toppings. And it's available for an exclusive franchise opportunity.
How do I get my own Reese and Irvy's robots?
It's easy, but you better act now. Locations and machines are going fast. Just go to froyofranchising.com. That's froyofranchising.com. Check it out now, froyofranchising.com.
Highland Park Ford Lincoln's in the house. Here's Alan Marty.
For 30 years, we've been making people happy with incredible deals and service.
We're the best Ford Lincoln dealers in town.
Because making people happy makes us happy.
No doubt, this is one happy place.
Heck, we just break into dance all the time.
We don't break into dance at the dealership.
Sure we do.
No, we really don't.
We could. Come on, Marty, dance with me.
The Highland Park Ford Lincoln Superstore. Call 1-800-984-9000 or go to alanmarty.com.
Admit it.
Okay, you're a lovely dancer.
Thank you. This is Alan Marty. Deal with us.
If you love the hunt, this is for you. I'm talking about the hunt for special antique collectibles, furniture, art, and decorative items that make your home sweet home special. A place where you'll discover Chicago's best kept treasures. Northwest Treasure and sister store Home on the Highway are just a block apart on Northwest Highway on Chicago's northwest side. In addition to an amazing selection of antique collectibles and furniture with a mid-century modern focus, you'll find vintage jewelry, decorative items, art, and loads of man cave. Mention AM 560 and receive a 10% discount on your first purchase. Northwest Treasure and Home on the Highway are conveniently located at 6122 and 6217 Northwest Highway in Chicago, close to Chicago's nicest neighborhoods and Park Ridge. And there's plenty of free parking. Call Northwest Treasure and Home on the Highway, home of Chicago's best kept treasures, at 773-774-6353. For more information, call 773-774-7653.
You know the name Barbara Walters. Now remember the company, Ameritrust Mortgage.
Ameritrust Mortgage was formed along with a talented professional staff that makes your mortgage process easy, swift, and cost-efficient for you, the home buyer, and for those who refinance. Ameritrust is all-inclusive, start to finish, the way lending should be. At Ameritrust, we believe it has been our privilege to have helped thousands of people over 30 years with purchasing or refinancing their home. We are here to help. Let us customize a loan program for your specific needs, FHA, VA, or conventional. At Ameritrust, the responsibility belongs to me. It's my name on the door. I am the president. I am Barbara Walters. Call Ameritrust now, 815-459-7303. Again, that number is 815-459-7303, or visit us at am560myhome.com.
Ameritrust Mortgage is an equal housing lender. Illinois Residential Mortgage Licensee number 720. NMLS number 217229.
I am so glad I did it. I'm just mad at myself for waiting so long. Hi, Amy Jacobson here for CertaPro Painters. You know, our front porch had chipping and peeling. It looked old and run down, but thanks to CertaPro Painters, it looks brand new again. And trust me, my neighbors are happy I did it. And you know, it's not too late to book that painting project. But don't wait. Be sure to get on CertaPro Painters' summer painting schedule today. Call 800-GO-CERTA or visit CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C. You know, CertaPro Painters will work around your busy schedule to get your home looking picture perfect for all your summer entertaining. That's why CertaPro Painters says we do painting, you do life. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Whether it's residential or commercial, interior or exterior, it's not too late to get that painting project off your to-do list. Call now, 1-800-GO-CERTA, 1-800-GOCERTA, or visit CertaPro.com today.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Kristen McQuarrie from the Chicago Tribune editorial board in for Amy this morning. And coming up at 6:36, we have Senate Republican leader Christine Radogno to talk about the stopgap budget that was passed yesterday and what's going to happen in January when the money runs out once again. But now let's check the headlines with Dave Stewart.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Kristen. Good morning. 63 degrees in Chicago at 6:30 on AM 560 The Answer. Planned Parenthood and the ACLU are celebrating a judge's ruling blocking a new state law in Indiana that would have limited abortions.
Happy Independence Day to the women of the state of Indiana. We get to celebrate our freedom.
That's Planned Parenthood's Betty Cockrum. If the judge did not intervene, the new Indiana law would have taken effect today, preventing women from ending a pregnancy based on genetic abnormalities. Just before Mississippi's new religious accommodations law was scheduled to go into effect today, a federal judge declared that unconstitutional. Judge Carlton Reeves says the law accommodates the beliefs of religious objectors at the expense of the LGBT community. Illinois House Speaker Michael Madigan says passage of the stopgap bills yesterday proves his point that compromise was always possible.
When the governor's demands relative to his personal agenda that hurts families are dropped. That happened here today.
But Governor Rauner called the short-term agreements a bridge to reform and said he'll continue to push his pro-business, anti-union ideas.
We've hit the bottom. This is the low point in the evolution of Illinois. And now we begin to move up.
Rauner admits his chances will depend in part on the outcome of the November election. The bills mean state functions will be funded through the end of the calendar year and schools across the state will open on time. Chicago schools get extra funds and the right to raise taxes for teacher pensions. Overnight violence in Chicago. Just after midnight, a 28-year-old man was killed, a 34-year-old woman injured in a shooting in West Chatham. They were in a car in the first block of West 76th Street when someone in a red pickup truck fired shots. And Chicago police say 5 people were shot, 1 fatally, in an attack in the Longwood Manor neighborhood last night. The group was in the 95 block of South Loomis when a car drove up with 4 people inside and 2 backseat passengers opened fire. In sports, the Cubs fell to the Mets 4-3. The White Sox beat the Twins 6-5. And tonight, it's the Cubs in New York again to take on the Mets while the Sox visit Houston. The news and service of Napa Auto Parts. This month at participating Napa Auto Parts stores, the full family of Castrol motor oils is on sale. So pick up Edge, Synthetic, GTX High Mileage, or GTX Conventional to keep your car running longer and stronger for less. That's Napa know-how. AM 560 News Time 6:33. We've got the traffic in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Dennis Prager believes the GOP is missing a huge opportunity.
That has been the great failure of the Republican Party, not to talk about the damage the left does. They talk about individuals, Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, doesn't mean a thing. If you support the left, you are supporting the damaging, perhaps irreparably, of the society. I know you mean well, and it doesn't matter.
The Dennis Prager Show, weekdays at 11, right before Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 on your mobile device. Now available on iHeartRadio. Online at iHeartRadio.com.
Hey, if you're a real estate professional or considering a career in real estate, I have an exciting new opportunity for you. It's a unique revenue and profit sharing model which allows you to gain partnership equity and experience a quality of life unmatched in the industry. Hi, I'm Mark Whittington with Inspire Realty Partners, and we believe it's time real estate professionals had an opportunity to build equity ownership and earn higher commissions. After all, do you know a retired real estate agent? Imagine having ownership equity and working toward building a retirement income stream. Inspire Realty Partners is a rapidly expanding team of like-minded professionals with a mission to elevate the level of service and provide a better experience for buyers and sellers. Our special program servicing veterans, first responders, educators, and their families has created an extra demand for quality associate partners. If you're interested in learning how you can become inspired, visit our career-specific website, joininspire.com. Again, that's joininspire.com.
Did you know 40% of all cancer could be prevented? That's a fact. Along with maintaining appropriate body weight and regular exercise, the American Institute for Cancer Research and the USDA confirm that eating 9 to 11 servings of fruits and vegetables every day is the key. Now ask yourself, am I at risk? How many servings of fruits and vegetables did I eat today? Balance of Nature has solved this problem and provides an easy and affordable way to consume over 10 servings of 31 different whole fruits and vegetables every day.
Call now to find out how to get your free month's supply of Balance of Nature.
If
Call
we could get our policies in Springfield to be different than they've been and become more pro-growth, the prosperity in Illinois that I believe and I firmly hope that right now
or go online to balanceofnature.com.
Use
promo code Chicago.
I love my Catholic school. I learn about God every day and I live my faith by helping others. I also plan to get into the high school of my choice thanks to challenging academics taught by caring teachers in a nurturing environment.
So you just heard my daughter talk about why she loves her Catholic school. As a parent, I may not be able to control what happens in Washington, D.C. or in Springfield with my one vote, nor can I control what is happening in our culture. But I can control how my children are educated. I do that by sending them to a Catholic school where they are formed in the image of Jesus Christ, so they have the moral foundation to make the right choices based on the teachings of the Catholic Church. If you want to provide your child with a moral compass to navigate our culture, consider sending him or her to a Catholic school.
Now you can join me at my school. Participating Catholic elementary schools in the Joliet Diocese, in conjunction with Catholic Education Foundation, are offering a $1,500 tuition transfer grant to any student who transfers from a public, private, charter, or homeschool. Restrictions apply. For more information, go to www.weteachmore.com.
At 6:36, let's check the roads from the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. Here's Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, David. Kennedy inbound traffic is heavy now from Sayre to Central. 23 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, outbound 21. The Edens is still fine. Inbound Eisenhower, stop and go Manheim to First. 38 minutes, Thorndale to the post office, outbound 33. Inbound Stevenson, looking at 40 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 36. Ryan is 25 minutes, 95th to downtown, but I-57 and Division 4 was very light. Northbound Tri-State slow Archer to LaGrange Road. The Reagan tollway to the Grand Avenue curve. The other tollways are fine. Northwest Indiana clear. Traffic service of Burger King's Classic Grilled Dogs. Get to Burger King July 2nd and 3rd and try a Classic Grilled Dog for just $1. All you have to do to get the $1 deal is go to Burger King. Ask for the $1 deal on the Classic Grilled Dog. At participating Burger King restaurants, limit 5 per transaction while supplies last. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
More of Chicago's Morning Answer next, but now the forecast is service of aircomfort.com, providing the right climate for business since 1935. Mostly sunny and pleasant today, high 73. Cool with patchy clouds tonight, down to 55. Sunny again tomorrow with patchy clouds and a high of 79. Right now, 63 at O'Hare. Next news, 7 o'clock. Continuous coverage of the latest news, traffic, and weather at 560theanswer.com. Now more of Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Financial Planning with Jack Taboda, your 401k rollover specialist. Heard Saturday mornings at 7 on AM 560, The Answer.
Let not your heart be troubled. Listen to me, Sean Hannity. I'll have the latest news and what it all means for you. It's coming up at 2 right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan. And in for Amy this morning is Kristen McQuarrie, she of the Chicago Tribune editorial board. And Kristen, as the saying goes, before an addict can get better, they have to hit rock bottom. And while Democrats were celebrating this stopgap budget, which is kind of more fairy tale financing of Illinois, even though I think the governor made the right call in swallowing this compromise, Governor Rauner had a very different, more sober, and less bull jive-ridden description of what happened yesterday.
I believe, and I firmly hope, that right now we've hit the bottom. This is the low point in the evolution of Illinois.
So are we on the road to recovery? Here's a note of optimism from Rauner. If we hit bottom, here's where we can go from there.
If we could get our policies in Springfield to be different than they've been and become more pro-growth, the prosperity in Illinois, the future for the families of the state could be very bright indeed.
And one of the things that people have to remember, because it's very easy to say, here is what should be done. Here's what they should do on pensions. Here's what they should do on K through 12 funding. Here's what they should do on tax policy. Here's what they should do on infrastructure spending and so forth. It's very easy to say that. The question I want to remind people that is actually at bar is, how do we get from here to there? And the way to get from here to there is to win elections as the means to policy ends. Rauner knows this. He and Republicans cannot get where he has articulated the state can go with supermajorities of Republicans in the House and the Senate. It will not happen. So think about, particularly you in the suburbs, think about Carol Senti if you're up in Lincolnshire, And think about Michelle Mussman if you're out there in Schaumburg, and Marty Moylan if you're over in Park Ridge, and Kate Clunan if you're down in Kankakee, Bourbonnais, and on. Your local Democrat legislator that shouldn't be representing your communities if you weren't going along with her, many center-right voters, because you like him or her personally, because your kids are played together in Little League or what have you. They go down to Springfield and they do Madigan and Cullerton's bidding, and this somehow has to penetrate the consciousness of the Illinois electorate in a lot of these suburban and some exurban districts if you're going to change the balance of power so you can get onto the road to recovery Rauner would like to send Illinois. For more on that, we're happy to be joined by Senate Republican leader Christine Radogno again. Senator Radogno, thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you.
So is what Governor Rauner said a fair characterization that this is rock bottom, at least hopefully, and now the recovery can begin?
Well, I think, again, the key word there is hopefully, because the Democrats have shown, in my view, that they just really don't care as long as Chicago gets taken care of in most instances about what happens in the rest of the state. I really agree with your assessment, though, that the way to change this is through elections. A lot of nice people in Springfield, but they don't always do the right thing.
I'm curious as to what you think sort of drove the meeting yesterday, because there was something that happened a couple of weeks ago in Senate President John Cullerton's district where he was at a local school, his own constituents, and he was talking about school funding, and they actually started pushing back against some of his talking points, blaming Rauner for all of these problems. And I just wonder if you sensed that the seriousness of, finally coming to an agreement yesterday was driven by voters contacting their legislators or even, the Senate president and Mike Madigan really feeling the heat that they actually needed to get something done.
Well, I'm sure that weighed heavily on Senate President Cullerton. He is very sensitive to how people view him. I don't believe that the speaker has that same sensitivity, to say the very least. What I really think drove the deal yesterday is the fact that, as usual, the speaker was playing his brinksmanship politics, and he honestly thought that Republicans would blink. And we got down to the bitter end yesterday. Chicago had to make that large pension payment, and they had only $24 million left in their checking account. There's no way that they could make payroll without us passing a budget that would fund schools. And I think that really drove it.
Yeah, and, and I know every even Band-Aid increases my taxes as a Chicago denizen, so I'm looking forward to double-digit, maybe triple-digit property tax increases when you have to do police and fire pensions.
Cross your fingers, Dan.
Looking forward to that next year. But here's the thing about Madigan, too. And just to put an exclamation point on it. Just this quick little anecdote. In 2014, in the West Central Cook County state rep race that was ultimately won, it was a seat that the Democrats flipped from a Republican to Democrat. Mike Madigan paid for mail pieces sent out on behalf of the Democrat candidate in that district that attacked Mike Madigan.
Right.
He paid for mail pieces attacking him on behalf of his candidate. Because
and it worked.
Right, and it worked. She won because that's the politically advantageous thing to do. He doesn't care about anything. He doesn't care what you think of him. He doesn't care how many phone calls he gets or how many phone calls his members gets, as long as he can pull another bit of trickery, if you will, prestidigitation in these districts to fool just enough voters to maintain a majority, or in this case, at present, a supermajority. That's what he cares about. But it's been really difficult to connect the dots between that kind of craven power madness and the local legislators that are his enablers, whether it's in the House or the Senate.
You are absolutely right. And that is, we've tried that before. It hasn't worked. What's different this time around, and what I'm encouraged by, is that the governor is committing resources to help get that message out, resources at a level that we have not seen in the past. And that message is beginning to penetrate. We see that in initial polling, data. We saw that in the meeting where Cullerton was held accountable by his constituents. So even though we've tried it before, I don't think we should dismiss the fact that we could be successful this time, and that would be the most dramatic support for the governor and increase our chances of turning the state around.
So on that note, do you think after November, some of the items on his turnaround agenda, the policy positions to revive the state that he believes in, will be back on the table, or is his turnaround agenda basically dead?
No, I think they will definitely be back on the table. In fact, some of the money for Chicago was tied specifically to pension reform that would go beyond just Chicago teachers, that would affect all the state systems. That was part of the agreement. It was stated repeatedly on the floor, and there is that piece of the package will be held in the Senate until closer to the election. Remember, it was the Democrats who said, we refuse to deal with anything having to do with reform or anything having to do with taxes until after the election. I mean, they made that crystal clear.
Yeah,
and given their majorities, we didn't have a lot of choice.
Part of the challenge, it seems to me, and this was borne out in some recent polling, is just citizen engagement because of hopelessness, maybe some level of ignorant bliss. I don't know, but certainly people aren't happy with Illinois and the track it's on. But there was a survey that indicated 60% of Illinoisans didn't believe the state budget affected them. They must not be looking at their property tax bills, but I guess that's mostly a local issue. It's not the state budget issue, to be fair. But you know, is that part of the challenge that you and your members feel, that you just have a lot of people in districts that are checked out?
Well, yes, I believe that's the case. Most people are not consumers of state services other than perhaps getting their driver's license. Now, so if the state operations only are affecting things like corrections and, CMS or things like that, people don't feel it. But when we're talking about the universities potentially having to close or schools not opening, then people start to get the drift that, hey, maybe this does affect me. And I think that Rauner has effectively made the case, and we're trying to bolster that those local property tax bills that you're getting that are just eye-popping have a direct relationship to the behavior in Springfield, because what the Democrats have done is to pass those costs along to locals. And that's what Rauner's trying to change.
And so come January, if there is not a substantial change in the balance of power in the House and the Senate, we're going to be right back where we have been the last several months in Illinois, right? I mean, with programs and state agencies that are unsustainable in their current funding form.
Well, the Democrats will have the ability to override the governor. Now, interestingly, they've not been able to do that as successfully as one would think, given the supermajorities they have, because even they know that their constituents have a limit to what they can tolerate in terms of, just this unfettered spending and raising taxes on people.
Well, they certainly push it to the limit, don't they? She is State Senator Christine Radogno, the Senate Republican leader. Senator Radogno, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And she joined us on Turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
Today it's going to be a little cooler, only a high of 70 degrees, partly cloudy. Tomorrow, temperatures will climb closer to 80. Supposed to hit a high of 78 degrees, so 2 lovely days. Now we'll get a check of traffic with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Kristen. In general, things are lighter than normal. The Eden says no delays to report right now. Kennedy, now slow inbound Sayre to Central and Sacramento to Fullerton. 25 minutes, O'Hare to downtown up on 22. Eisenhower's 38 minutes, Thorndale to the post office. Up on 33. Stevenson, 40 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Out on 39. Slow from before First Avenue to the Tri-State. The Ryan, 25 minutes, 95th to the Loop. All clear on I-57 and the Bishop Ford. Northbound Tri-State heavy from the Reagan Tollway to North Avenue. The other tollways are looking good right now. Traffic is jammed on Chicago's near northwest side. Traffic lights are malfunctioning at Grand Avenue in Holstead and Milwaukee Avenue. Northwest Indiana, southern Wisconsin, all clear right now. Jim Talamonte in the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
I'm Keith Peters in for Lou Dobbs. New economic reports due out today may start fireworks. Mortgage rates down again. Cable channel Stars as a new owner. Those stories next.
Bill Bennett here to tell you about Augusta Precious Metals. What if you could store your IRA or 401k where you can see, touch, and hold it in person in the form of physical gold and silver coins? I know I would, and you can't do that with stocks. With the Augusta Gold and Silver IRA, you can transfer retirement savings into physical coins and store them where you can actually see them. Free shipping, zero management fees, and Augusta pays all upfront costs. Getting started is absolutely free. Rated A+ with the Better Business Bureau, enjoys a 98% 5-star customer satisfaction rating with TrustLink.org. Trust Augusta. Call toll-free 1-855-222-6993 now for your free guide to Augusta Gold IRAs. Call toll-free 1-855-222-6993. That's 1-855-222-6993 or visit AugustaPreciousMetals.com.
This final day of trading before the holiday weekend will see the release of reports on motor vehicle sales, construction spending, and around midday, Loretta Mester, president of the Federal Reserve Bank of Cleveland, will address an economic conference in London. Long-term U.S. mortgage rates hit new 2016 lows on Thursday as the average 30-year fixed-rate mortgage dropped to just 3.48%. Freddie Mac says that's not only the lowest this year, but it's also a 3-year low. Lionsgate Films is buying cable channel operator Stars in a deal worth $4.4 billion. Lionsgate is the studio behind the Hunger Games films. Executives say they plan to distribute many of Lionsgate's own movies via its own cable TV platform. Please join us for Lou Dobbs tonight at 7 and 11 Eastern on the Fox Business Network. I'm Keith Peters for the Lou Dobbs Financial Report.
Did you know 40% of all cancer could be prevented? That's a fact. Along with maintaining appropriate body weight and regular exercise, the American Institute for Cancer Research and the USDA confirm that eating 9 to 11 servings of fruits and vegetables every day is the key. Now ask yourself, am I at risk? How many servings of fruits and vegetables did I eat today? Balance of Nature has solved this problem and provides an easy and affordable way to consume over 10 servings of 31 different whole fruits and vegetables every day.
Call now to find out how to get your free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Call now, 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com.
Use promo code CHICAGO.
On AM 560 The Answer, we talk about the important issues that affect your world. Things like the economy, education, and foreign policy. There's always so much going on in the news that we don't always have the time to focus in and talk about the big ideas behind the important issues. Enter Upstream Ideas online at upstream-ideas.com. Upstream Ideas, in partnership with the Illinois Policy Institute, provides the kind of information that informs the policy discussions happening here on AM 560. At Upstream Ideas, you'll broaden the debate, move beyond partisan assumptions, and challenge accepted beliefs. Upstream Ideas goes against the current and thinks upstream. Go online now at upstream-ideas.com. That's upstream-ideas.com. You'll be armed with new information and fresh perspectives to help encourage you to make the state of Illinois and the United States of America a bit freer, a bit more just, and a bit more civilized. Upstream-ideas.com.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
If you think all banks are the same, it's time to think about Signature Bank Chicago. I'm Pete Olson, head of commercial banking at Signature Bank, where the people who own the bank operate the bank. Not in an abstract way, but in the same hands-on, personalized way that you run your business. We don't rely on a legion of business developers to find new relationships. We don't trust an outsourced phone bank to address your customer service needs, and we don't delegate decision-making to some anonymous credit committee that you'll never meet. We do everything we can to help you succeed, because if you don't succeed, we don't succeed. Call us today to see the Signature Bank difference.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. Learn more about turning your business vision into reality. Visit signature-bank.com. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Kristen McQuarrie in for Amy Jacobson this morning. And Kristen, according to CBS News poll, gun ownership in America is at a 40-year low. Just a little bit more than 1 in 3 U.S. adults either own a firearm personally or live with someone who does. That's lowest since 1978. But I'm glad one gentleman in Spartanburg County, South Carolina, still counts himself among gun owners because, in a story you won't hear very much in the legacy media, deputies in Spartanburg County say a 32-year-old individual named Jody Ray Thompson got into an argument outside a nightclub on Sunday morning. He opened fire into the nearby crowd, wounding 3 people. But then a man fired back at Thompson in self-defense, striking him in the leg. The hero had a valid concealed weapons permit, will not be facing charges. The assailant, Thompson, was charged with 4 counts of attempted murder, possession of a weapon during the commission of a violent crime, and unlawful carrying of a weapon. Where did you hear that story in the media? Just here. And it's a reminder, good guy with a gun, the remedy for bad guy with a gun.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
The sounds of summer from your very own pool and spa is brought to you by All Seasons Pools, Spas, and Outdoor Living. All Seasons Pools and Spas begins from the ground up with creative custom design, expert pool construction, and hardscaping, and then finishes with complete maintenance and care, leaving you to enjoy the of summer. As you soak up the sun poolside, imagine a fire pit, outdoor kitchen, or pergola. All Seasons Pool and Spa will turn your boring backyard into a vacation paradise. No need to go off the deep end. Relax, knowing that for over 60 years, All Seasons Pools and Spas has been making a splash in your neighborhood. Visit their showroom and store for a complete selection of pool, spa, robotic pool cleaners, and premium barbecue and grill islands. A trained staff is on hand to provide water testing, salt and chlorine products, and advice for servicing your pool. All Seasons Pool and Spa and Outdoor Living, 135th Street in Orland Park, or resortlivingathome.com. That's resortlivingathome.com.
Hi, I'm Carl Deichler, the CEO of Beachbody, and I'm here to tell you about an amazing new way you can start losing weight for free right now. You've probably seen our workout DVDs on TV like P90X, Insanity, and 21 Day Fix. We just launched a beta trial of our new digital video platform, Beachbody On Demand. So while we're testing out this new digital video service, I'm inviting you to use it for free for 30 days. That means you can lose 10 pounds, 20 pounds, even 30 pounds without paying a dime. Text the word TRIAL to 303030, and you can do 30 days of P90X, Insanity, or any of over 400 workouts for free. Now here's the catch. In return, all I ask is you let us know what you think of the service so we can make Beachbody On Demand the best fitness and weight loss site ever created. Just text TRIAL to 303030 and get started for free right now. Again, text TRIAL to 303030.
Message and data rates may apply. Membership fees apply after 30-day free trial. Cancel anytime.
My name is David Hochberg, and I'm Vice President of Lending at Pearl Mortgage. If you're looking to purchase a new home or refinance your existing home, give me a call. Market knowledge, in-house underwriting, low rates, and closing costs are what makes me one of the country's top loan officers. My team of experienced loan officers is committed to helping you with your next real estate transaction. If you complete an online application with the company in love with their rockets or the guy with the big red blowhorn, somebody in a hotbox call center returns your call. When you complete an online application at am560david.com, either me or one of my experienced professional loan officers calls you back and answers all of your questions. If you want to work with a loan officer who appreciates and values your business, give me a call at 312-751-1333 or visit am560david.com. I've helped thousands of AM560 listeners, but I can't help if you don't call 312-751-1333 or visit am560david.com. Pearl Mortgage and Equal Housing Lender, Illinois Residential Mortgage License 4358, RMLA, NMLS 19186.
Chris Christie is Trump's running mate. We'll ask Brett Baer at 7:07, but now let's check the headlines with Dave Stewart.
We'll have the state budget story after an update from Fox News on AM 560, The Answer. WIND Chicago, it is 7 o'clock.
Fox News Radio, I'm Dave Anthony. The Attorney General is facing a lot of criticism over her private meeting on a plane at Phoenix's airport with former President Bill Clinton at a time when Hillary's under investigation. Today, We'll hear from Loretta Lynch. Fox's Rachel Sutherland live in Washington.
Dave, the Attorney General is expected to announce she'll accept whatever determinations career prosecutors and FBI investigators make regarding possible charges in the Clinton email probe. Lynch's decision puts to rest the possibility she could overrule investigators working on the case. Clinton, the presumptive Democratic nominee, has maintained she did nothing wrong when she used a private email system while leading the State Department. Dave.
Rachel, it's July 1st, the fiscal new year in most states, so new laws are taking effect, but not some controversial ones. Federal judges blocked new abortion regulations. Florida would have put restrictions on abortion clinics and kept funding away from Planned Parenthood. The law in Indiana would have prevented women from getting an abortion to avoid having a baby born with genetic abnormalities like Down syndrome. And then there's the law put on hold in Mississippi. Fox's Tanya J. Powers details this one live.
The Mississippi law would have let merchants and government employees cite religious beliefs in denying or delaying services to same-sex couples. A judge blocked it just moments before it was to take effect today. It would have protected three beliefs. One, that marriage is only between a man and woman. Two, that sex should only take place in such a marriage. And three, that a person's gender is determined at birth and cannot be altered. Dave, an appeal is expected.
Tanya, an accident in the quest to make cars that drive themselves. Tesla says a man using his car's autopilot mode crashed in May in Florida and he was killed. The car failed to distinguish between the white side of a truck that was turning and the brightly lit sky and did not automatically brake. They're picketing instead of working in Atlantic City. About 1,000 casino employees on strike in a contract dispute at Trump Taj Mahal, but the dealers are still dealing and the casino remains open. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Good morning, 63 degrees in Chicago at 7:02 on AM 560. The Answer. I'm David Stewart. Sunny and pleasant today. Look for a high of 73. Governor Rauner signed those stopgap budget bills to keep the state in operation for the rest of the year and to assure that schools will open on time. House Republican leader Jim Durkin says it shows what is possible when the majority Democrats do not ignore the Republicans.
To my friends on the other side of the aisle, when you engage the Republicans, the minority party, on the difficult issues, the most important issues of the day, we will achieve great and successful results. And that is what's happened today.
The short-term bills do not include any items from Governor Rauner's so-called turnaround agenda, but he says he'll resume that fight in November.
I'm cautiously optimistic that we, in November, December, January, will see meaningful reforms.
He also acknowledges, however, that the election will have an impact. The budget also allows Chicago to set up special taxing districts to sequester property taxes for CTA projects. Mayor Emanuel says these districts will allow the city to have access to federal funds.
It allows us to tap into $1 billion of what is called core capacity in the federal government. It's sitting there with the city's Chicago's name on it.
The money will be used to complete projects on the red and purple lines in the Forest Park segment of the blue line. One person's dead, 4 others injured after a drive-by shooting on the south side. Police say the group was wounded last night when 2 people inside a car opened fire near 95th and Loomis. A woman died after she was shot in the head. 2 men were hospitalized in critical condition. One suspect's in custody after authorities searched a Wakanda home for explosives. Officials say SWAT and bomb squad units called out yesterday after a man told a business employee that he wanted to lure police to his home to blow them up. Authorities evacuated the area around the 400 block of Lakeshore Boulevard in Wakanda for that search. In sports, it was the Cubs falling to the Mets once again, 4-3, while the White Sox beat the Twins 6-5. Tonight, Cubs in New York again. The White Sox visit Houston. The news and service of Burger King's Classic Grilled Dogs. Get to Burger King July 2nd and 3rd to try a classic grilled dog for just $1. All you have to do to get the dollar deal is to go to Burger King and ask for the $1 deal on the classic grilled dog. At participating Burger King restaurants, limit 5 per transaction while supplies last. AM 560 News Time 7:04. We've got traffic in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Sean Hannity believes our government is not looking out for our well-being.
441 Syrian refugees have been admitted to the United States just since the Orlando attack. I've got a whole list here of names of people, all warning that ISIS will infiltrate the refugee population. Now, is that going to stop them from doing something stupid? Apparently not, because they're going forward with it.
The Sean Hannity Show, afternoons at 2, right before Joe Walsh at 5, on AM 560, The Answer.
Raise your hand if you think you know what identity theft is. Just kidding. This is a radio commercial. We can't tell if your hand is up. But we can tell you that if you think identity theft is when someone adds charges to your credit card, you're only partially right. Identity theft is when someone pretends to be you, to open new accounts in your name, or any number of other bad things. That's where LifeLock can help. We use proprietary technology to detect and alert you to a whole range of identity threats. And if you have a problem, our U.S.-based team of specialists will work to fix it. You'll get more protection with LifeLock than you get from free credit monitoring alone. Obviously, no one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions at all businesses, but LifeLock is the best identity theft protection available. Join LifeLock right now and get a special 15% discount off your first year. Visit LifeLock.com and use promo code 15OFF. That's 15 off to take advantage of an incredible 15% discount off your first year. Act now. Offer ends July 3rd. Go to LifeLock.com and enter promo code 15OFF. LifeLock.
At 7:06, let's check the roads from the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. Here's Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, David. Good morning. Lots of people may be starting the holiday a bit early. The Edens is delay-free right now. It's 19 minutes either way between Lake Cook and Montrose. Kennedy, Slow Kimball to Fullerton, 25 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, outbound 22. Inbound Eisenhower, traffic is heavy. Approaching First Avenue, just 30 minutes, Thorndale to the post office. Outbound 33. Stevenson, Slow Central to Kedzie, and approaching Lakeshore Drive. It's 40 minutes, 3:55 to the drive, outbound 39. Ryan, 25 minutes, 95th to downtown. Lakeshore Drive southbound, heavy 18th to the Stevenson. Tri-State northbound slow from the Reagan Tollway to North Avenue. The other tollways are good. No delays to report on I-80 or in northwest Indiana right now. Near northwest side, traffic is jammed around Grand Avenue in Holstead and Milwaukee. Traffic signal problems. Lots of traffic this weekend with festivals. Remember, Tuesday, Elgin O'Hare, 390 becomes a tollway. Traffic answers when you need them most. Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
More of Chicago's Morning Answer next. Now the forecast, a service of aircomfort.com, providing the right climate for business since 1935. Here's meteorologist Kevin Snyder.
Clouds and sun today with a high of 70. Then tonight, patchy clouds, low 55. Tomorrow, sun and patchy clouds, high 78. And a clear night tomorrow night with a low 59. Sunday will be a mostly sunny day with a high of 79. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560. The Answer.
Lakefront 65 degrees, 66 Midway, 64 degrees at O'Hare. Next news, 7:30. Get continuous coverage of the latest news, traffic, and weather at 560theanswer.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues now on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Ed Lukasik Jr. of RE/MAX Professionals. Get more money for your home by listing with a real marketing expert.
Good morning. Welcome to your Friday morning briefing. Here's what you need to know to start your day.
I believe and I firmly hope that right now we've hit the bottom. This is the low point in the evolution of Illinois.
Effective immediately, transgender Americans may serve openly.
Both the President and the Attorney General understand how important it is for the Department of Justice to conduct investigations that are free of political interference.
And I don't think it sends the right signal. I think she should have steered clear even of a brief, casual social meeting with the former president.
How bad a judgment is it for him or for her to do this? I mean, who would do this?
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. How obvious was Loretta Lynch's gaffe? And as I said previously when we discussed this, I think she's too smart to be that stupid. By the way, I said Dan and Amy out of habit. Of course, the lovely and talented Kristen McQuarrie of the Chicago Tribune editorial board sitting in for Amy this morning. I apologize.
I didn't even notice.
I apologize. It's a habit.
Of course.
So Loretta Lynch, that the happenstance meeting, President happens to be in Phoenix because he's very concerned about community policing. Loretta Lynch is in Phoenix talking about community policing. They have a chance encounter on the tarmac. Boy, it strains the bounds of credulity, no matter what they discussed or didn't discuss. And you have a lot of Democrats coming forward to suggest this was inappropriate. Even Red Diaper Baby, the head of the University of Chicago Institute of Political Skullduggery, David Axelrod, is doing so. But the regime is not, because Josh Earnest, the Dickensian name spokesbeing for President Obama, had this to say on topic.
Both the President and the Attorney General understand how important it is for the Department of Justice to conduct investigations that are free of political interference.
Well, they don't, obviously, because if they did, or if they were eminently concerned about that, then Loretta Lynch would have told President Clinton, Obviously, Mr. President, I can't speak with you about anything because we have a pending investigation into not only your wife, but as the FBI has indicated previously, also the Clinton Foundation. Remember, there's two tracks here. It's not just the emails. It's also the Clinton Foundation. Bill Clinton, a principal of the Clinton Foundation. So this ex parte conversation she had is like first-year law student obvious in terms of its inappropriateness. This is why maybe there's something a little bit more nefarious than just a discussion of grandchildren, which is what Loretta Lynch suggests was the topic of conversation. But for more on this, as well as the winnowing down of VP potentials for the Donald, as well as for the Hillary, we're now joined by our friend Bret Baier, of course, the host of Special Report, 5 p.m. Chicago time, Monday to Friday on Fox News. Bret, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Good morning.
So what about this? I mean, you've got Carl Bernstein and Delaware Senator Chris Coons and former Clinton advisor Doug Schoen and David Axelrod. I mean, they're all saying this was inappropriate. This was effectively a mistake. Some are calling for Loretta Lynch to recuse herself. Some are not. She announces today that she will accept whatever the FBI recommends and pursue the course that the FBI recommends in the case. Does this all go away, or does she hand off the baton to a deputy and then make it go away?
I think this is a real problem for the administration, and I'm not on a limb here. I think the fact that the DOJ put out a statement today to say that she is going to take whatever the recommendation is of the FBI at its value and just move forward with that. So the questions are endless. Does that mean she's essentially recusing herself? Does that mean that she acknowledges that the meeting with President Clinton was inappropriate and therefore she no longer has a judgment to weigh in if there is some conflict in the FBI moving forward with a recusal of an indictment? And the whole thing about Clinton, of course he is potentially tied to this because he could be a witness in the foundation part of this investigation. So I think if you read between the lines with Josh Earnest's press conference yesterday, there was a lot of anger there. He said, I wasn't at that meeting. And I think the administration has another Bill Clinton problem.
Well, but also, too, I mean, just to extend your point, there's no way to unring the bell. So no matter what she does, if the outcome is something short of charges against Hillary Clinton, Trump is going to take the opportunity, as he did yesterday, to say, well, I told you the system is rigged, and this is another example of it.
Yeah, of course. Now, I've heard all kinds of theories that she purposely set up this meeting so that she could recuse herself in a way that because she's getting so much pressure not to indict. I think that's too clever by half. But listen, it is a huge problem. And whatever happens in this investigation, now there will always be, it'll be like Barry Bonds, you know, when he gets in the record books, there'll be an asterisk next to the name. And I think that this is a real problem. And I think that Capitol Hill is going to launch investigations and call for recusal, and they already have started to.
Do you think this in any way changes the timing of what the FBI might recommend? Because now, you know, the nomination is coming up through the Democratic convention. You have Bernie supporters who have still been sort of waiting in the wings for some, you know, something dramatic to happen with this. Does this meeting and what she is about to announce today, does it change the timing or speed it up, in your opinion?
I don't know where Jim Comey's head is. I mean, I think this investigation has kind of run its course, although, by all accounts, Hillary Clinton has not yet been interviewed. And I don't know whether there was a negotiation not to interview her. I don't know how you could do an investigation and not interview her. I think that this may speed the timeline up. But remember, I mean, potentially a presidential election hangs in the balance here. This is not like a one-off thing that nobody's going to eventually care about. I mean, the outcome of what happens here potentially deals with one of the nominees.
Well, right. And so, and this is it. And this is where, you know, all of the encomia on behalf of Jim Comey from the right and the left about his independence and his personal integrity. And I don't know the gentleman, but a lot of people I respect have tremendous respect for him. So I take their reviews at face value. But at some point, months and months go by. 150 agents are assigned to this case. So much information has been leaked that tend to paint a fairly clear picture, at least on the email matter. And the idea of, we're not going to be beholden to political timelines wrap only carries you so far.
I totally agree. And I think that there is going to be pressure to move this thing along. In the wake of all the Benghazi fallout, all of the Democrats, one of the lines that they used again and again was, this committee cost $7 million. We don't have a dollar figure for what the email investigation cost.
Right.
And when we do, I guarantee you it's going to be more than $7 million.
That's a good point. Switching gears a little bit, reports out yesterday that Chris Christie and Newt Gingrich are being vetted by Donald Trump to be his running mate, with a bit more emphasis on Chris Christie than perhaps we've heard in a while. What's your sense of where that stands in terms of winnowing the list and the vetting of potential running mates for Trump?
He's clearly in the running. He is like the right-hand man. He's at Trump Tower a lot. And but I think to listen to Trump himself, every time he's talked about it, he said he's wanted a lawmaker that can help him get legislation across the finish line and knows the ins and outs of Washington. Christie is a politician, but he hasn't lived the world of Capitol Hill. So I would still put my chips on somebody from Capitol Hill, whether president or former.
What's your overall feeling about how influential running mates really are in either driving turnout or the opposite effect? Because at the end of the day, I think the final report on Sarah Palin was that she really did not have much of an overall effect. And if anything, she helped boost turnout for John McCain in 2008. What do you think there's all this mystery and we want to know who the running mate is, but at the end of the day, does it matter?
Well, I agree with you, Chris, and I think in most years it does not matter very much at all. It's intrigue and mystery at the beginning, but then it really doesn't factor in. However, I think this year, especially for Donald Trump, it matters because there's a large part of the Republican Party that is not comfortable, to say the least, and some that are just outright scared. And I think he does need some kind of calming influence on the ticket to be able to get the Republican Party to unify. And on Hillary's side, I think she's looking to either reach out to disaffected Republicans with a pick like Tim Kaine, that is somebody who is fairly moderate in the big picture, or go the other way and reach out to progressives and try to get the Bernie people to get fired up.
What about Attorney General Loretta Lynch as Hillary's running mate? That would be. What about?
Maybe that's what the 30-minute conversation was about.
Maybe that's what it was.
Hey, Bill Clinton was just vetting her. That's all.
Right. It was an interview.
Golf, grandchildren, and the running mate.
Yeah, that'd be something. All right. He is Bret Baier, the host of Fox News' Special Report, 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. Bret, thanks as always for joining us. Have a great Independence Day weekend. And by the way, I hope when you pass on, you receive total consciousness.
So I got that going for me.
Yeah, which is nice. See you, Bret. Thanks.
Which is nice.
And he joined us on our Turnkey.pro answer line.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Little inside joke there with Fred about his interview with the Dalai Lama. Did you get the total consciousness?
No. I
Did
mean,
you ever
I
see
wondered
Caddyshack?
if that was what you were alluding to.
Yeah.
But no, you have to use a really obvious line like, be the ball, Danny, for me to catch on. Sorry.
You should watch Caddyshack over the holiday weekend.
Maybe I will. That's a great holiday
with
movie
the Dalai
to watch.
Lama.
Sure. Your forecast today, high of only about 70 degrees, so it's a little cooler today, partly cloudy. Tomorrow, the temperatures will climb again. We're looking at a high of 78. And now we'll check the roads with Jim Telemonte.
Thanks, Kristen. Dan, good morning. In the city of Chicago, traffic is jammed. Grand Avenue at Halsted and Milwaukee's, the city's traffic lights are malfunctioning there. And on the south side, there's police activity 74th and Morgan. The Edens is all clear right now. The Kennedy looking good inbound, just 21 minutes O'Hare to downtown, outbound 25. The Eisenhower, 30 minutes Thorndale to the post office, outbound 33. The Stevenson, 37 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 39. And Ryan is 25 minutes, 95th to downtown. Northbound Tri-State stop and go from the Reagan Tollway to North Avenue. Veterans Memorial, slow Army Trail to Lake. The other tollways are good. Northwest Indiana, all clear. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
A text from 708 on the whole Loretta Lynch topic. Professor Kingsfield would be appalled. This is why I like our listeners. Very literate. Excellent Paper Chase reference. You remember who played Professor Kingsfield in the movie?
No, I don't.
It was John Houseman. Remember who played the love interest of the kind of featured law student whose name I'm forgetting, his character name I forget.
No, you don't want me on your movie trivia team.
I believe it was Lindsay Wagner, but I'm happy to be corrected if I'm wrong. Business owners, I want you to stop and think about one part of your organization that you simply can't live without. What comes to mind? Your employees, your location, your customers? How about your technology? Let's face it, everything rests on your network running smoothly and efficiently. That's where Turnkey IT comes in. They understand the value of your network and the critical role it plays in your company. They'll keep your network up and running and resolve any problems so you can focus on the important things. Turnkey IT's team of professionals will respond to you quickly. They won't roll their eyes when you ask them questions or try to dazzle you with confusing technical jargon. Turnkey IT this summer is offering a free security audit. Even if you have an IT guy, this free security audit will help you understand if they are keeping your data safe from viruses and hackers. So visit turnkey.pro today to schedule your free security audit and mention that Dan or Amy sent you. That's turnkey.pro.
When you die on your deathbed, you will receive total consciousness. So I got that going for me.
Hey, I want to tell you about my friends at Guardian Security Services. Because here's the deal. If you're unhappy with your door staff or on-site security officers at your business or property, or you're just not receiving the services you were promised, there's no reason to tolerate it. Call my friends right now at Guardian Security Services to discuss your security officer needs. These guys are amazing. They've been Chicago's best for 41 years. They only assign the most professional, highly trained security officers in all of Chicagoland. Their vetting practices are exceptional. If you're finally ready to explore an alternative to your current security officer provider, then doggone it, do it. Pick up the phone right now and schedule a free security assessment with my friends at Guardian Security Services. Tell them me, Joe Walsh, sent you. Right now, call 708-385-3300. Again, 708-385-3300 or online at guardiansecurityinc.com.
When I hear realtors boast about servicing a 3-county area or selling a home every 15 minutes, I think, what level of service could their clients possibly be getting? This is Chris Jacobs with Century 21 affiliated in Inverness, and my message is a little bit different. If being a realtor for more than 20 years has taught me one thing, it's that all real estate is local. While I can't say I'm the #1 realtor in the country, I can tell you that over the past 10 years, I've sold more homes in Inverness than anyone else. My team specializes in Inverness, Palatine, and Arlington Heights. We pride ourselves on providing our clients exceptional customer service and local market knowledge. So if you're selling your home or looking to purchase a property in our area, then call me, Chris Jacobs, at 847-401-4859. That's 847-401-4859. Or visit us at chrisjacobshomes.com.
Each office independently owned and operated, an equal housing opportunity.
AM 560, The Answer.
I got to talk about this third grade class party. I got to talk about this. This is, but I have to take Verlin too. So let's take Verlin real quick, and then we'll get to the third grade class party that was interrupted by police in South Jersey. Verlin, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
How's it going, Dan?
Hey, what's up?
All right, listen. I called in to talk to you about Donald Trump and his situation with his VPs. But I got a serious question to ask you after this question. Listen, I think he needs an attack dog like Chris Christie or Newt Gingrich. I don't know who yet he should pick, but Chris Christie can get down and dirty, and Newt Gingrich can pick you apart intelligently. But Chris Christie, he's going through those situations as far as, the whatever. I'm stupid, the gate thing. And then Newt Gingrich's been out of the limelight for a while. So I just don't know who he should pick.
Well, I think the vetting of both of them is being done at Old Country Buffet, if I'm not mistaken.
But remember what you said the other day about Mike Pence. I think he's too much of a nice guy to be an attack dog against Elizabeth Warren. Now, I got a serious question for you. Now, listen, I would be less of a person if I didn't speak out about the 72 murders that happened last month. But Dan, the question I got for you is, where was the AR-15?
Right.
What would a ban on the AR-15 done for the murders of those 72 people?
Donut, nothing, nada, zip, zilch. Yeah, no, I know. But we talk about this, and we talk about this off air too. Chris and I were just doing it. Amy and I do it all the time. You hear the newscasts, Mike Scott or Dave Stewart today, and it's the same story every day in Chicago with different names and different personal stories. And I don't mean to be cavalier, and I don't want to become numb to it, but that's what it is, about these people being killed and these people being killed. And it has nothing to do with whether you're using a 9mm or a 45 or an AR-15. It has everything to do with the lawlessness on the south and west sides of Chicago in particular, and the fact that if we're being real honest, Verlin, I think it's very difficult to look at the Chicago Democrat power structure and say they care about the minorities who put them in office, because in the overwhelming minority neighborhoods, you have people, including a lot of innocent people, being killed and maimed because they have allowed barbarians to rule the streets and rule those neighborhoods. I think it's disgusting. But, I'm a white Christian cisgendered male, so what do I know? Thanks for the call, Verlin. All right, I want to get to this. Speaking of the world in which we live and the nonsense of it all. Kristen, you have children.
I do.
Yes. Are they what are their grades?
3rd and 4th.
And how are their grades?
Excellent, of course.
Of course. So 3rd grade, this could happen to you if you lived in South Jersey, but Chicago, So June 16th, police were called to an end-of-the-year class party at the William Tatum Elementary School in Collingswood, New Jersey. 3rd grade class party, end-of-the-year class party. Why were they called? Because a 3rd grader made a comment about the brownies being served to the class, because it was an end-of-the-year class party, so they were giving brownies out, sweets. Kids like brownies. I don't know if you've heard.
It's a bakery item, right?
It's a baked good.
It's a baked good. It's chocolate and usually cut into a square. That's the brownie that we're talking about, right?
Yes, that is.
Just making sure.
But a student, a 3rd grader, said the remark that one of his classmates made about the brownies was racist. So the school called the police department. According to the mother of the boy who made the comment, Miss Stacy Dos Santos, who sounds like she may be of brown skin. She sounds, I don't know if she's a Latina or not, but not that it really matters, but the police were called. Dos Santos said her son was talking about brownies. Who exactly did he offend? The boy's father was contacted by police later that day. Police said the incident had been referred to the New Jersey Division of Child Protection. The student stayed home for the last day of 3rd grade. The student who had made a comment about a baked good, which in common vernacular is called a brownie, and apparently some student took offense to it. The school called the police. The police actually responded to compound the embarrassing nature of this story.
That's ridiculous.
And then referred it to child services. Dos Santos said that her 9-year-old son was traumatized and she's hoping to send him to another school next year. She wants an apology from the school and so on and so forth. Where in this chain of events and decision making is there any adult? Whether it's the a parent of the already PC mind-addled 3rd grader at 9 years old who hears somebody say brownie and there's brownies there and he says racism. The schools, the school that calls police, the police that actually respond to this nonsense instead of saying, stop bothering us with your insanity. We have a real job to do. The police who then refer to child services I mean, this is just a great microcosm of where we are as a society, isn't it?
It's really scary. I mean, I have a third grader, and the mother says in this story, here was a police officer with a gun in his holster talking to my son and asking him, "Tell me what you said. Tell me what you said." He didn't have anybody on his side. I mean, the ridiculousness of this, that a school would not, that a teacher, whoever overheard this, whoever's in the classroom, wouldn't take this into their own hands and deal with it, whatever it was, let alone a principal, let alone a dean of whatever they have at the school, that they would call the police to investigate this is just beyond the pale. I don't understand it.
A world without adults. Oh, by the way, Chip from North Aurora, we don't have time. Chip said should have called him a cupcake. Well, the same thing. You'd be in trouble for calling him a cupcake. Somebody would have said homophobia or something.
I'm not a racist. That's what's so insane about this.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM 560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
The U.S. Senior and Women's Open, the BMW Championship, the Chicago Half Marathon, NASCAR racing, the Blackhawks Parade, so many festivals and special events. And they all have one thing in common: Master Fence Rental. Master Fence Rental provides professional fence rental services throughout all phases of your construction project, special event, or emergency situation, along with prompt delivery and expert installation. These are the guys to call when you need to maintain temporary safety and security at your site. Master Fence Rental is ready right now for your next big event or building project with chain link fences, fence panels, and pedestrian barricades that are uniquely designed and built to be sturdy, safe, and attractive with easy installation and takedown. Event planners, show producers, contractors, request a free quote today and get ready to work with the temporary fence pros. Master Fence. Call 866-622-0822. 866-622-0822 or online masterfencerental.com.
Let me get right to the point. Thousands of listeners have bought My Pillows, and if you're not one of the cool kids, why not? If for no other reason than you haven't changed your pillow in the last couple of years, now would be a great time. Your pillow absorbs dead skin, dirt, skin oils, and dust mites that can cause allergies, acne, asthma, and who knows what else. You really deserve a washable My Pillow. It comes with a 10-year warranty, and it's a great health investment. Best of all, I know you'll sleep better. I do. My Pillow is the official pillow of the National Sleep Foundation for good reason. So visit mypillow.com or call 800-489-0201. Use the promo code Amy for the 2-for-1 offer. Give one as a gift and keep the other one for you. Do it now, 800-489-0201 or online at mypillow.com. Promo code Amy, 800-489-0201.
AM 560, The Answer.
In Chicago, you're 18 years old, you can vote often. You can enlist in the military, serve, and perhaps even die for your country. But you can't buy tobacco starting today. We'll have that at 7:37. Now let's check the headlines with Dave Stewart.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Kristen. Good morning. 64 degrees in Chicago at 7:33 on AM 560. The Answer. Sunny and pleasant today, high 73. Donald Trump's among those questioning that meeting between Bill Clinton and Attorney General Loretta Lynch. Trump told Fox News when he first heard about it, he couldn't believe it.
Well, when I yesterday afternoon, I actually thought they were joking. I thought the people that told me was, I said, no way. It's just no way that's going to happen.
The meeting between Lynch and Clinton happened at the Phoenix airport this week at a time when Hillary Clinton is under federal investigation. Lynch is now reportedly pledging to accept the FBI's recommendations, whatever they are, on the investigation into Hillary Clinton's emails. CBS News and New York Times also report Lynch will not formally remove herself from the case. 11 foreign nationals are now in Turkish custody in connection with Tuesday's bombing in Istanbul. The foreigners are suspected of being members of a terrorist cell linked to the suicide bombers who attacked the Ataturk airport, killing 44 and wounding hundreds. The General Assembly's approved a compromise stopgap spending plan and school funding bills that mean that schools across the state will open on time, with Chicago schools getting additional help, and basic state services are funded until the end of the calendar year. House Speaker Michael Madigan says compromise became possible once Governor Rauner dropped his insistence on his so-called turnaround agenda.
Many previous efforts to implement a more comprehensive budget failed due to the governor's insistence on the inclusion of his agenda that would drive down middle-class wages and the standard of living.
Bud Rauner says he'll resume his push for those reforms after the November election. The bill also includes permission for Chicago schools to raise property taxes for teacher pensions. Chicago police say 5 people shot one fatally in an attack in the Longwood Manor neighborhood last night. The group was near 95th and South Loomis when a car drove up with 4 people inside and 2 backseat passengers opened fire. A 37 woman died after being shot in the head. Former Pope Benedict is releasing a memoir in which he writes that no one pressured him to resign, but that the Vatican gay lobby had tried to influence his decisions. An Italian newspaper quotes excerpts that Benedict says he became aware of a so-called gay lobby of 4 or 5 people looking to influence Vatican decisions, but he managed to break up that group. Sports, Cubs fell to the Mets 4-3. White Sox beat the Twins 6-5. Tonight, Chicago Cubs in New York. The Sox visit Houston. News and service of Burger King's classic grilled dogs. Get to Burger King July 2nd and 3rd and try a classic grilled dog for just $1. All you have to do to get the $1 deal is go to Burger King and ask for the $1 deal on the classic grilled dog. At participating Burger King restaurants, limit 5 per transaction while supplies last. AM 560 News Time 7:36. Traffic in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Dennis Prager believes the GOP is missing a huge opportunity.
That has been the great failure of the Republican Party, not to talk about the damage the left does. They talk about individuals, Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, doesn't mean a thing. If you support the left, you are supporting the damaging, perhaps irreparably, of the society. I know you mean well, and it doesn't matter.
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
LiveWatch helps you connect and respond up to 10 times faster in an emergency. LiveWatch has no long-term contracts. Save up to 50% off home security. Call 855-LiveWatch or visit livewatch.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, U.S. Tax Shield can help you take back control. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Our team of tax attorneys can stop collections and get you protected. U.S. Tax Shield offers a price protection guaranteed quote to get you protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the BBB, so call 800-466-9625. U.S. Tax Shield, 800-466-9625.
You're a small to mid-sized business with 300 to 3,000 employees. You face the same network security challenges as big businesses do, but can't support a big IT investment, leaving your doors open to advanced cyber threats. Barracuda next-generation firewalls provide all the core features of enterprise firewalls and UTMs, but without hidden costs and deployment hurdles, making owning a big business firewall no big deal for your SMB. Reclaim your network. Try a Barracuda next-gen firewall risk-free at barracuda.com/firewalls.
I am so glad I did it. I'm just mad at myself for waiting so long. Hi, Amy Jacobson here for CertaPro Painters. You know, our front porch had chipping and peeling. It looked old and run down, but thanks to CertaPro Painters, it looks brand new again. And trust me, my neighbors are happy I did it. And you know, it's not too late to book that painting project. But don't wait. Be sure to get on CertaPro Painters' summer painting schedule today. Call 800-GO-CERTA or visit CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C. You know, CertaPro Painters will work around your busy schedule to get your home looking picture perfect for all your summer entertaining. That's why CertaPro Painters says we do painting, you do life. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Whether it's residential or commercial, interior or exterior, it's not too late to get that painting project off your to-do list. Call now, 1-800-GO-CERTA, 1-800-GOCERTA, or visit CertaPro.com today.
7:38. Let's check the roads from the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, David. The Edens is clear right now. So is the inbound Kennedy. But outbound, there is a 5-minute delay from Lawrence to Sayre. Inbound Eisenhower, believe it or not, 29 minutes. Thorndale to downtown. Outbound 34. Slow in pockets between Austin and Manheim. Stevenson, just 36 minutes. 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound 5 to 34. The Ryan is 21 minutes. 95th to downtown. Southbound Lakeshore Drive, heavy 18th to the Stevenson. Northbound Tri-State, stop and go from the Reagan Tollway to North Avenue. Northbound Veterans Memorial, still Army Trail to Lake. The other tollways are good. Traffic service of Napa Auto Parts. Right now at Napa, get up to a $15 rebate Visa card by mail when you purchase a Napa Legend battery. Keep your car going, keep your savings going. filling. That's Napa know-how. At participating Napa Auto Parts stores, some exclusions apply. Offer expires 7/31/16. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Now the forecast, a service of aircomfort.com, providing the right climate for business since 1935. Today, mostly sunny and pleasant, high 73. Cool tonight, patchy clouds, low 55. Mostly sunny with patchy clouds tomorrow, high 79. Right now, 64 at O'Hare. Next news update, 8 o'clock. Now, more of Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Real Estate Live with Andrew Holmes. Get honest answers to your questions every Sunday at 12 noon.
You want more than just the headlines? Find out what's going on and what it means with me, Dennis Prager, this morning at 11, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
What up? It's Dan, and in framing this morning is Kristen McCreary, she of the Chicago Tribune editorial board. We were talking about this case in South Jersey. Third grader has the cops called on him because he referred to a brownie at a end-of-year class party. He was referring to the baked good. Another third grader yells racist. The cops are called. The matter's referred to child services. The school does nothing because we don't live in a world of adults anymore, just sentimental barbarians in charge of our important institutions. And both Kristen, you, and a texter asked the same question, so I'm going to give equal credit on this.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Since you've been stealing my material all morning.
That's right. I need good writers.
That's what your listeners don't know is that when we're off air, I'm telling you all these, witty remarks to make, and then you steal it.
I read whatever Kristen McQuarrie puts in front of me. But the text from 847 is the first level of Girl Scouts still called brownies. Does that make the Girl Scouts racist? And it is still the brownies, right?
It is still the brownies. I think we're going to have to strike that term, though, and call them something else.
Here, see, now the mistake you made. That's why I'm here.
Oh.
To clarify.
Oh, what was my mistake?
The Girl Scouts and the brownies have an exemption because the Girl Scouts send money to Planned Parenthood. So it's okay for them to use the term brownie and be racist in the modern definition of the term because they're in liege with Planned Parenthood, so they get an exemption because of, the support for leftist trafficking in baby body parts and so forth, which is a great example for young girls.
Wow, that's some twisted logic there. But I suppose we couldn't call them mini Girl Scouts because that, you can't really call people mini because then you're offending people who are actually height challenged. So we're just going to have to revise that whole program.
Well, you're also going to have to expand the title because it should be identifying as Girl Scouts.
Right. True. And the actual bakery good will have to be called, what did you bring today for your birthday? I brought a square chocolate treat.
A chocolate?
Okay. Cocoa? No.
I brought an edible concoction. That's what...
Edible is sometimes not
edible.
Not the case. So
yeah, I brought a dirigible.
Digestible.
Get third graders to use dirigible goods. A related story in terms of the infantilization of America and Chicago leading the way. As I mentioned before Dave Stewart's news, starting today, you're an 18-year-old in Chicago. You can vote often. You can enlist in the military, serve your country, die for your country, perhaps. You can't buy tobacco. Cannot buy tobacco. Today, Chicago joins New York. Of course it did. That's where Ed Burke got the idea. Whatever New York does, that Ed Burke introduces a municipal ordinance 5 minutes later. Chicago joins New York and Boston as cities that have increased the age to 21 for the purchase of tobacco products. Only this is actually being considered at the state level as well. There's legislation pending at the state level. Only Hawaii and California have raised the tobacco purchase age to 21 statewide. So what do you think about that, increasing the age to purchase tobacco to 21? 312-642-5600, Turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, Turnkey.pro text line.
I mean, there are studies that show most people who are smokers start in their teens. So even smokers, according to some studies, support this, raising the age. I think it's a little curious because the city is so desperate to keep their cigarette tax revenue. So you'd think they would be decreasing the smoking age to allow more people because we're so reliant on that tax revenue now. But not only
isn't that interesting?
Not only did the city do this, but they have proposed all kinds of bans recently where you can't smoke in public, you can't smoke on the sidewalk, you can't smoke on the beach or at a Chicago park.
Or at Wrigley Field.
Or at the baseball stadiums, correct. So, I mean, if you're a smoker, I sort of feel sorry for you. There's no place to smoke anymore.
No, but to your point, thank you for smoking, to borrow a Chris Buckleyism, because the politicians are running a scam. Don't smoke. It's terrible. We're trying to protect you from yourself, except smoke.
Yeah, because our schools, I mean, a lot of the revenue does go to city services.
We've already budgeted for and spent the money we expect to realize from tobacco taxes. If you're so concerned about it, why don't you ban tobacco products and impose draconian punishments to prevent people from smoking if it's really about trying to protect people from themselves? But of course it's not. It's about fleecing people creatively. It's about getting into people's pockets in new and exciting ways, and always under the guise of doing good for them that, they're not inclined to do for themselves, which is why it's so funny when the left forever repeats this idea that you should never be forced by someone down a path in life. You should be able to choose your own path, your own everything, except when it comes to the nanny state telling you what you can and can't do, when and at what age you can do it. By the way, how do they know 21?
ID.
No.
Driver's license.
No, not how do you know someone's age. How do you know 21 is the age where we have enlightenment?
Well, that's the alcohol buying age.
Well,
so they're making a comparison.
Yeah, but how do you know that? I mean, so I'll take it one step back then, the same premise. Why 21? Why not 20? Why not 22? How do you know? How is it that all these private individuals who ascend to public office all of a sudden are imbued with grand enlightenment where they know precisely the age at which you should be allowed to buy alcohol or tobacco? Everything they know is so precise. Where do they come up with these numbers?
I mean, I can't answer it. We distinguish between minorities and adults at 17, in some cases 18 in others, 21 for drinking age. I think a pack of cigarettes now in the city of Chicago, this is the other dumb thing, people will just buy them elsewhere.
Of course.
You have to be 21, and it's up to about, I think, $11 for one pack of cigarettes in the city of Chicago, and most of that is tax revenue.
Of course. And here's something else, of course, the politicians don't know, which is why the revenue estimates from tobacco taxes or other sin taxes always fall short of what's actually realized, because there is such a thing as elasticity of demand, which you should have learned in an Econ 101 class at some point in high school. Even with cigarettes, even with products that have addictive qualities, there is elasticity of demand. And when there's options, like in the suburbs or in Northwest Indiana, people will exercise them. Let's go to Mark in Valpo. Hey, Mark.
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
Good. I just wanted to say that, I think that they should lower the price of cigarettes to make them more like Indiana. So they'll all put cigarette machines inside the schools to pay for the teachers' pensions.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Thanks for the call, Mark. By the way, now the flip side argument is you're a child till you're age 26, according to Obamacare, so shouldn't the age for cigarettes and alcohol and other things be 26?
That's probably the direction we're headed.
Steve in Hinsdale.
Well, Dan, you said they don't smoke at Wrigley. Let me tell you this. I was down at Wrigley last night for the James Taylor Jackson Brown concert.
Oh, that sounds
Place was
terrible.
sold out. I tell you, man, there was a lot of smoking going on last night. It wasn't tobacco, but don't think for a minute they don't smoke at Wrigley. Thanks, buddy. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
They've seen fire and ice down there at Wrigley. Well, we're talking about smokeless tobacco, like Addison Reed and John Lackey can be pulled off the field by Ed Burke if he catches them smoking tobacco. And I want to see that happen. I want to see Ed Burke throw Addison Reed out of a game at Wrigley Field.
I think the point was that last night it was not tobacco that was being smoked. It was James Taylor. So, of course not, That's a chill crowd.
Yeah, there's all these like 60s refugees, all these Feel the Burners that were hopped up on LSD and God knows whatever else.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Your forecast today, a little cooler. 70 degrees is the high, partly cloudy. Tomorrow will warm up to 78 degrees, also partly cloudy. So 2 lovely days back-to-back. Go outside and enjoy them. How are the roads, Jim Talamonte?
Not bad at all, Kristen. If you want to get out now, it's a pretty good time. The inbound Kennedy has no delays. 20 minutes O'Hare to downtown, at least no significant delays. Outbound, You've got about 10 minutes worth of stop-and-go traffic from Montrose to Harlem. 30 minutes downtown to the airport. Edens inbound, 19 minutes. Lake Cook to the junction. Outbound 20, little heavy Dempster to Church Street. Inbound Eisenhower, slow Coster to Sacramento. That's a 2-minute delay. Outbound, it's about 40 minutes. Post Office to Thorndale with scattered delays. Austin to Manheim, then it's slow Wooddale Road to 355. Inbound Stevenson, just a 1-minute delay. State to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound, it's cleared up. The Ryan, 21 minutes, 95th to downtown. Outbound, fine at 15. Northbound Tri-State, stop and go from the Reagan Tollway to North Avenue. Veterans Memorial, slow from Army Trail to Lake Street. The other tollways are good. Northwest Indiana looks fine. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
I have actually been on Balance of Nature for a year now. I have MS, and I recently had an MRI. This is the first year that I've had a stable MRI, so I'm thrilled. When I have an MRI with MS, usually there are glowing spots that come through, which is damage on the nerves in my brain and my spinal cord, and when they're glowing, it means they're active. And then my last MRI, they pulled it up, and I honestly couldn't believe that it was my MRI. There was nothing glowing. And in fact, the dark spots were shrinking. They were healing. And the doctor actually said to me, I think we're in remission. I was so happy. I had no idea that that could be my reality.
Call now to find out how to get your free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com.
Use promo code Chicago.
I'm Dan Proft with an Upstream Idea brought to you by the Illinois Policy Institute. 27. Illinois state employees, on average, receive total compensation 27% higher than their private sector counterparts. State employees made nearly $4,000 more in wages and $13,000 in benefits than private sector employees. More than half of state workers will retire before the age of 60 with a guaranteed state pension. The state is in a financial death spiral with ground impact imminent. So keep this in mind as Governor Bruce Rauner breaks off contract talks with AFSCME, the state's largest public sector union. AFSCME has been unwilling to give on its demands for annual step increases of 3.8%, in addition to annual general wage increases. The lowball estimate of the cost of what AFSCME demands is $1.6 billion. That's $1.6 billion more from Illinois families who already pay the highest property taxes in the nation. This is Governor Rauner's moment of truth. He ran for office saying he is not a politician. He said he is a businessman who will make the difficult decisions to turn around the state he loves. We're about to find out if that's true. For more Upstream ideas, visit upstream-ideas.com. I'm Dan Proft.
Policies issued by American General Life Insurance Company, Houston, Texas. Not available in all states. For details, visit AIGdirect.com.
Do you have a family? Would you like to help make sure they'll be taken care of if anything were to happen to you? If you answered yes, you probably need life insurance. Now, do you think life insurance is expensive? If you answered yes to that too, you definitely need to give AIG Direct a call. We could find you a $250,000 policy for just $14 a month, which means you could save hundreds of dollars a year. Call us now for a free, no-obligation quote. 1-800-400-7052. Since 1995, we've helped millions of people find out if they could save up to 70% on their term life insurance. See how affordably we can help you protect your family. Call AIG Direct now for your free quote. 1-800-400-7052. You could save up to 70%. That's 1-800-400-7052. 1-800-400-7052.
Your money. Find out how to keep more of it and live debt-free. Tonight on The Dave Ramsey Show, starting at 7 on AM 560. The Answer.
It's Dan, and it's Kristen McQuarrie from the Chicago Tribune editorial board in for Amy this morning. And yesterday it was Frederick Bastiat's 215th birthday. Of course, you know the law, and you should read that over the weekend. An important foundational book for understanding how a free society should be ordered. And on Monday, 240th birthday of the greatest nation the world has ever seen. And so it's a good time to talk a little bit about patriotism and the good work of good men and women of America, like Mark Evans, Sergeant Mark Evans, the founder of Pizza for Patriots, who joins us now. Mark, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, thank you so much, Dan. I appreciate you having me on so much, and your listeners, all the support they've given us for over the last 9 years, and over 1.5 million slices of pizza, Chicago style and other styles, to our troops around the world.
And what do you have coming up for the 4th?
The 4th of July, our troops in the Middle East are going to get pizza. We aren't shipping it because of the war, the fluidity of the war, and it's difficult. They need other, more, other types of stuff. But they are going to get pizza because of the project. The military said they put it in the food chain, so they will get it for the 4th of July. So we had a little something to do with that. But our mission this time, and we've done it for several years, is now we're doing Operation Homefront, which we are having pizza parties at VA hospitals for the troops coming back who are in hospice, whether it be physical or PTSD or what. And we're having parties all week for them. They pick the day, they pick the pizza place, and it's so wonderful. I've been to several VAs doing it, and a lot of the troops had it in the desert over there, and now they get it at home, and they get welcomed here at home as well.
I was on your website, and I think it's interesting for listeners to know how actually you do this. You make the pizzas yourself. You say you use the highest quality ingredients, and then you flash freeze them and seal them. Maybe are they half cooked, and then they finish the completion process once they reach their destination? Tell us about how it works.
It's called par bake. They send it through an oven and cook it halfway, and then they freeze it, and it stays in a cryo state. And then when the troops
just like Walt Disney.
Yeah, exactly. And all they have to do is heat it up. It's going to be 130 degrees in Afghanistan today. So I think, you could throw it on a rock somewhere. Or you could a rock in Iraq, but you can eat it the way it is. You probably have pulled a pizza out of the oven, and it's not quite all the way, but you're hungry, and you're like, I'm eating it. I don't care. So, and it's all, natural ingredients. The federal government says pizza's a vegetable. But with that said, the military they said they would take the delivery, but we decided that and our shipping company that it's best to for at least this time the military to handle the delivery and get them pizzas, and we do get the best ingredients and everything. And our troops that are here at the VAs in America, the birth of our beautiful nation, fantastic nation. Gosh, so many lives and so much blood, sweat, and tears. We are so blessed to have this heritage. You have to pinch yourself. My father, World War II, my mother, Rosie the Riveter. They said to me, Mark, you know what? No matter how this country looks, it's still the best in the world. You can't do better. So. And
Sergeant Mark Evans, veterans are lucky to have people like you out there thinking about them and helping them out and improving their lives, particularly when they're overseas. And at a VA hospital, Sergeant Mark Evans, pizzaforpatriots.com. Go to his website. You can find out how to help out in his mission. Sergeant Mark Evans, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
When you wake up on the 4th of July and you're drinking your coffee, you go, man, it's going to be a beautiful day. We're going to eat some good food. We're going to celebrate the birth of America, see fireworks, and guess what? Then the cold breeze goes down your back. God tells you, guess what? You're involved in serving a slice of pizza to some soldier somewhere who is in a dire situation, whether it's here in a VA hospital alone or it's overseas, and you just the thought to put a smile on their face. My gosh, when you meet a soldier that has had the pizza, they're just like, they smile.
Thanks, Sergeant Mark Evans. Apparently we lost him. Joined us on the Turnkey.pro answer line.
And now, a moment of objectivism with Yaron Brook and the Ayn Rand Institute.
Traditionally, the 4th of July is a day for fireworks and cookouts. But we should take the time to also appreciate the deeper meaning of Independence Day. The founding of the United States of America was an unprecedented achievement of enormous moral and practical significance. America was the only nation founded on the idea that your life belongs not to a king or to the popes or to the state, but to you, to pursue your values, your happiness. The founders believed it was the government's job to protect this inalienable right. On the 4th of July, we celebrate the founders' vision of the sovereign individual who is free to live by his own independent judgment and to pursue his own life and happiness. From the Ayn Rand Institute, I'm Yaron Brook.
This has been a moment of objectivism from the Ayn Rand Institute. To learn more, listen to the Yaron Brook Show, Saturdays at 4 on AM 560, and visit ARIradio.com.
Why are Ayn Rand's ideas so compelling? Her worldview, her philosophy, expressed dramatically in her novels Atlas Shrugged and The Fountainhead, embodies the ideals stated by the Founding Fathers in the Declaration of Independence and sets forth the requirements necessary to achieve a flourishing life. She called her philosophy objectivism and said it was a philosophy for living on Earth. Today, decades after her death, objectivism continues to stir debate and inspire passion for the spirit of individualism and the enduring American dream.
Hey, kids aren't thinking about school very much this summer, but it's the perfect time.
Morning Answer continues after an update of local news, and that follows Fox News on AM 560 The Answer, WIND Chicago.
Fox News Radio, I'm Dave Anthony. Americans are going places. This 4th of July weekend, the majority will be driving, paying 50 cents a gallon less for gas than last year. For those flying, security is tighter days after Istanbul's terror attack. Fox's Jeff Manasso live at Chicago's O'Hare Airports.
Dave, the Department of Homeland Security, state and local law enforcement officials are upping security postures with high-visibility patrols, tactical teams, even behavior detection specialists here at O'Hare and other airports, as well as train and transit hubs across the U.S. That as transportation officials expect a record 43 million Americans to travel this 4th of July weekend. And though we'll see higher security presence, federal officials also tell us that at this point, Dave, there are no credible threats.
Jeff, people in Mississippi who object to gay marriage on religious grounds do not have new protections today. A state law supposed to go into effect was blocked by a federal judge at the last minute. 2 new abortion laws were also struck down in 2 states. Fox's Eben Brown live in Miami.
Yeah, Dave, a federal judge in Tallahassee is blocking a law here in Florida that would have ended public funding to women's health clinics like Planned Parenthood, even for services provided other than pregnancy termination, things such as birth control, HIV testing, and cancer screening. It comes as a federal court in Indiana throws out a law making it illegal to abort a baby diagnosed in utero with genetic disease like Down syndrome, or basing a decision to abort on the baby's gender or race, Dave.
Evan, we are expecting to hear later today from Attorney General Loretta Lynch that she will accept whatever the consensus decision is from career prosecutors and investigators in the probe into Hillary Clinton's private email while Secretary of State. And a source tells Fox News they're very close to reaching a determination if the presumptive Democratic presidential nominee would face any charges. Lynch has been criticized for a meeting she had on a plane on Monday with former President Bill Clinton. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
2 on AM 560 The Answer. I'm David Stewart. Sunny and pleasant today. Look for a high of 73. Mayor Emanuel says Chicago Public Schools will open on time this fall after state lawmakers passed a stopgap budget deal yesterday. He told reporters the district has a brighter future because of the actions in Springfield.
If we're healthy, the state is healthy. And the good news is, with this honest compromise, our kids, our taxpayers, our teachers aren't a stepchild in the state.
One bill approved yesterday provides an extra $100 million in state aid for CPS. The Chicago Board also has the authority now to enact a property tax increase to fund teachers' pensions. Passage of the budget puts off the fight over Governor Rauner's reform agenda, but doesn't end it. He said yesterday it will resume in November, though he admits the election will have an impact on his chances.
If there is a greater balance in the General Assembly between the Republicans and Democrats, I think the odds of very significant reforms are much higher. If there's less balance, could be the opposite.
The budget passed yesterday did not include any of Rauner's pro-business, anti-union ideas. Chicago police say 5 people shot one fatally during an attack in the Longwood Manor neighborhood last night. The group was near 95th and South Loomis when a car drove up with 4 people inside. 2 backseat passengers fired multiple shots. Beginning today, only people aged 21 and older will be able to buy cigarettes and other tobacco products in the city of Chicago. The city will also impose new taxes on retailers who sell tobacco products, including cigars and smokeless tobacco. The state's medical marijuana program will operate for at least another 2.5 years. Governor Rauner signed the bill yesterday to extend the pilot program until 2020. The measure also expands the list of qualifying conditions to include PTSD and terminal illnesses. In sports, the Cubs fell to the Mets 4-3, while the White Sox beat the Twins 6-5. Tonight, it's the Cubs in New York again, and the Sox visit Houston. AM 560 News Time, 8:04. Time now for the AM 560 Business Beat, sponsored by Turnkey.pro from the Fox Business Network.
With the Fox Business Network, Hershey is rejecting a takeover bid from Mondelez, the maker of Cadbury chocolates and Oreo cookies. Mondelez offered $23 billion for the company. Hershey's board of directors unanimously rejected the deal, says it offers no basis for further discussion. Mondelez is interested in the Hershey name and the production and distribution rights for Kit Kat. A federal court has thrown out an antitrust settlement between Visa, MasterCard, and millions of retailers involving fees. The judge says some merchants were not adequately represented in that $7 billion agreement. It's a very good time to lock in a mortgage. Freddie Mac says the national average for a 30-year fixed mortgage is 3.48%, down from 3.56% last week. The Dow added 235 points yesterday. NASDAQ added 63. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Ginny Cosola.
AM 560 News Time 8:05. We've got traffic in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Most of America is just straight up car stupid.
The Dave Ramsey Show.
You fleece your car, acting like when you rented your car, you did a good deal. Give me a break. And the stupid thing loses 60 to 70% of its value when you buy a new one in the first 4 years that you drive it. So you turn $30,000 into $11,000 and then scratch your head and wonder why you can't get ahead financially. This is not hard to think about, people.
Dave Ramsey. Weeknights starting at 7. Presented by Wintrust Community Bank on AM 560. The Answer.
Raise your hand if you think you know what identity theft is. Just kidding. This is a radio commercial. We can't tell if your hand is up. But we can tell you that if you think identity theft is when someone adds charges to your credit card, you're only partially right. Identity theft is when someone pretends to be you, to open new accounts in your name, or any number of other bad things. That's where LifeLock can help. We use proprietary technology to detect and alert you to a whole range of identity threats. And if you have a problem, our U.S.-based team of specialists will work to fix it. You'll get more protection with LifeLock than you get from free credit monitoring alone. Obviously, no one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions at all businesses, but LifeLock is the best identity theft protection available. Join LifeLock right now and get a special 15% discount off your first year. Visit LifeLock.com and use promo code 15OFF. That's 15 off to take advantage of an incredible 15% discount off your first year. Act now. Offer ends July 3rd. Go to LifeLock.com and enter promo code 15OFF. LifeLock.
At 8:07, let's check the roads from the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, David. On the northbound Veterans Memorial Tollway, 355 up onto 53. Traffic is stop and go from Lake Street most of the way to Beesterfield, where there's some debris blocking 2 left lanes. The Edens is clear now, 19 minutes either way between Lake Cook and Montrose. The inbound Kennedy, 20 minutes, O'Hare to downtown. Outbound 30 is stop and go Montrose to Harlem. About Eisenhower, heavy Costner to Sacramento, 31 minutes, Thorndale to downtown. Outbound, it's 40 minutes with scattered delays. We see a little bit of a delay now on that inbound Kennedy from Division into downtown Chicago. On the inbound Stevenson, traffic is just a bit tight approaching Lakeshore Drive. Outbound, it's clear. The Ryan has a 5-minute delay from the Stevenson to the Burns Circle. Southbound Lakeshore Drive, slow 18th to the Stevenson. Northbound Tri-State slow from the Reagan Tollway to the Eisenhower. Adams Tollway, Reagan Tollway delay free. Northwest Indiana looks great. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
More of Chicago's Morning Answer next, but now the forecast, a service of aircomfort.com, providing the right climate for business since 1935. And here's meteorologist Kevin Snyder.
Today, intervals of clouds and sunshine, high of 70. Cool night tonight with patchy clouds, low 55. Sunshine and patchy clouds for tomorrow, high of 78 and a clear night, low 59. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
Lakefront temperature 65, 64 at Midway, 64 at O'Hare. Your next update at 8:30. Get continued coverage of the latest news, traffic, and weather on 560theanswer.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues now on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Military Mortgage Talk with host Tony Gatliff. Sunday mornings at 9 on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning. Welcome to your Friday morning briefing. Here's what you need to know to start your day.
I believe and I firmly hope that right now we've hit the bottom. This is the low point, in the evolution of Illinois.
Effective immediately, transgender Americans may serve openly.
Both the President and the Attorney General understand how important it is for the Department of Justice to conduct investigations that are free of political interference.
And I don't think it sends the right signal. I think she should have steered clear even of a brief, casual social meeting with the former president.
How bad a judgment is it for him or for her to do this? I mean, who would do this?
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan. And in for Amy this morning is Chicago Tribune editorial board member Kristen McQuarrie. And Kristen, in the wake of the terrorist attack this week at the Ataturk Airport in Istanbul, which mirrored in many ways the attack on the airport in Brussels a couple of months previous, you've got this renewed conversation about airport security, what TSA should do. Report out of Dallas that they're just looking at the idea of moving security checkpoints to the curb, or inspecting cars as they first enter the airport, like you do if you go to a Bears game at Soldier Field and have the mirrors under the car and open your trunk and that sort of thing. Denny Kelly, who's an aviation expert, dismissed those ideas, thinking that they're going to create security and suggesting they're just going to create more impatient travelers and longer waiting times.
And even then, it's not going to work, because these people, if somebody is willing to give up their life, you're not going to stop them by checking under their car with a mirror.
And so this debate continues. Obviously, we know TSA's performance with respect to security at airports isn't tremendous, shall we say. But because in both Brussels and Istanbul, you had suicide bombers bring bombs into the airport, but not through the security checkpoint. If you extended the perimeter, could you remove or decrease the likelihood of such attacks in the future? For more on this and many other issues, we're joined by our friend KT McFarland, of course, Fox News national security analyst. KT, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
It's a pleasure.
So what's your sense of the idea of focusing on airports as not really soft targets, but they continue to be targets nonetheless, and extending the security perimeter?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's treating the symptom, not the root cause.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think if it makes it tough to go to airports, they'll go to train stations. If it's tough to go to train stations, they'll go to sporting events. They'll go to malls. The issue is who's doing it, and why are we not finding them? I mean, I look at the FBI and say, wait a minute. They missed San Bernardino. They missed the Boston bombers. They missed Orlando. And in the case of Orlando and the Boston bombers, they had people who actually came forward to say, look these guys over. There's a problem here. And the FBI had them in their sights and then let them go. So I've got to say, what's our intelligence and law enforcement doing? Why are they not, for example, why did the FBI not pass on to law enforcement? We have suspicions about these people. So I conclude two things. One, are there not enough resources for the FBI? In which case, let's give them a lot more resources. Or number two, is it a different problem? Is it that from the top, every time we have a terrorist incident, the president has three standard things he says. One, we deplore violence. Number two, we got to make sure that we don't veer off into Islamophobia and accuse our neighbors. And number three, let's take away the guns. So I'm saying, well, maybe when the president says that every single time, it sends a signal not only to the American people, but to the government employees. Well, you don't want to be accused of being Islamophobic, so therefore don't follow the leads, or therefore American people don't report if you see something, say something. So I think it's not just moving the security perimeter of airports. Yeah, that's nice. Probably more expensive than it's worth. I would go right to the heart of it.
Do you think in going to the heart of it that Turkish officials, we've been writing and reading about their need to wake up to the reality of ISIS sympathizers within their midst? I think there's a recent report out in the past couple of days that there are up to maybe 25,000 estimated ISIS sympathizers in Turkey. So is this going to be a turning point with that government to crack down on what is becoming a homegrown problem for them?
Well, for the Turkey had a slightly different thing. What they did was, and I don't have any proof for this, just a lot of suppositions from the intelligence people I've talked to in the intelligence community, that Turkey made kind of a deal. And they said, look, ISIS, just don't have any problems within Turkey, and you can therefore transit our borders without impingement. You can sneak across from Syria and Iraq into Turkey, and then from Turkey make your way into Europe. So I think they made a deal with the devil, and now the devil's coming after them. But what it does point out is all of Europe is vulnerable. And once somebody gets in, once a terrorist sympathizer comes in, either disguised along with the migrant groups, or somebody who's in a European country, travels to Turkey, sneaks across the border, gets trained, come back through Turkey, and then goes back to Brussels or Paris or Germany or whatever, they have a huge problem. And I don't think they're going to get in front of that problem. I think that the problem is already too big, and it requires too many resources. And the Europeans have not cooperated with each other in sharing no-fly lists, something as simple as a no-fly list. They're only recently starting to share those. So I want to make sure that that doesn't happen to us. And the only way to do that is to get serious about our borders, get serious about our intelligence, and get serious about admitting we have a problem.
We're talking to KT McFarland, Fox News national security analyst. KT, maybe before we talk about Erdogan's middling rhetoric on terrorism and so forth, some of the inconsistencies there, we should take a step back because we have some slow learners in this country, and I thought maybe you could help a competing cable news network. MSNBC tweeted after the attack, the terrorist attack in Istanbul, question, is there a pattern to these recent terrorist attacks? And since MSNBC is baffled by what has happened in Orlando and San Bernardino and Somalia and Afghanistan and Istanbul, is there anything that emerges as far as you can see in terms of a pattern with respect to these terrorist attacks?
Yeah, I think that what the terrorist attacks have shown us is that ISIS has been ever adapting, so that or radical Islam is ever adapting. So they couldn't attack who they wanted to in the late 1990s, which was Saudi Arabia, so they attacked the United States on September 11th. But then we went after them in Afghanistan. They ran away to Pakistan. We went after them in Pakistan. They ran away to Syria and Iraq. We went after them there, and then they've run away to Libya, and they've, in fact, spread. As we have gone after them in military and real terms and, in territory and land and people, what they've done is they've jumped over borders, not only with migrants, but they've jumped over borders with social media. And so somehow we're in this never land of a bunch of, people and young kids in the desert of Yemen who are somehow outsmarting the social media of the United States, the country that created the Internet, computers, microprocessing, Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook, and somehow a handful of ISIS supporters are getting the better of us on that. So I don't understand that. But as far as the inability of the liberal media to recognize there's a problem, don't take my word for it. Take the head of the CIA. While President Obama was out last week saying, oh, look, we've got this under control, no worries, want to make sure that we don't have Islamophobia, and by the way, take away the guns, the head of the CIA was going to Congress and he said, look, we're scared. We think that there are other attacks coming. And then after the Istanbul attack, the CIA director, John Brennan, he said the same thing again. He said, we can expect attacks like this in America this summer. The intelligence community is spooked. They know there's stuff coming down, and they don't want to be left holding the bag or the scapegoats for when it does.
Well, you have to forgive the Secretary of Defense. He's been busy on a transgender policy, so
don't get me going.
He's sidetracked. I wanted to get your thoughts on Iraqi forces taking back Fallujah and whether or not we can see this as any sort of a turning point, or if the back and forth, just as easily in the next few months we'll hear that ISIS has retaken it.
Well, I said a minute ago how they've been adapting. They'll move if they don't. If we take Fallujah, they're going to Libya. They're already a mobile international organization, and if we shut down one franchise, they'll move to another. And as far as Fallujah itself, yeah, it's important, but this is the fourth time we fought over Fallujah in the last couple of years. I don't think it's the last time we're going to fight over Fallujah.
Before we let you go, I want to get your reaction to the report that was issued yesterday about the Iranian detention of our naval personnel, 10 of our sailors, back in January. The Navy concludes that Some of the Navy sailors gave up their passwords to laptops, cell phones, sensitive data about their ships to their Iranian captors. That's a no-no. But also that Iran, our new partner in peace, you'll recall, violated international law by impeding the boat's innocent passage transit, and they violated sovereign immunity by searching and seizing the boats, and by photographing and videotaping the crew. And I guess all of those descriptions of what occurred and the violations that occurred on both sides, we'll just go by the boards and we'll move on.
Yeah, I think, again, it's scapegoating. Now, were those sailors wrong? You bet they were wrong. It's name, rank, serial number, nothing else. And were their commanders wrong for not training them? Name, rank, serial number? Yes. But the real fault I put to Secretary of State John Kerry. So when the sailors were taken, what does he do? He comes out and thanks the Iranian people for releasing our prisoners and apologizes for having them there in the first place. Now, he may think there's nothing important about that and what's an apology in the great sweep of history, but what that did was it gave Iran the ammunition, the PR victory, the ideological domination, so that the picture of the American sailors on their hands and knees, hands behind their heads, Iranian guns pointed at their heads, that went viral all around the Middle East. And what that said was America's on its knees to Islam. America's on its knees to the caliphate. America's on its knees to Iran's superiority and ambitions in the region. So I blame the Secretary of State. We should not have responded by thanking them. We should have responded by cutting off the negotiations over the arms control and doubling and tripling down on the sanctions.
Well, maybe the unfreezing $150 billion in their assets will teach them a lesson.
I think that this is a story which will continue, and that's one of the reasons we need a new president and a new foreign policy team.
She is KT McFarland, Fox News national security analyst. KT, thanks for joining us. Have a great Independence Day weekend.
Same to you, too.
And she joined us on the Turnkey.Pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
A great start to your Independence Day weekend. A little cooler today, high of only about 70 degrees, partly cloudy. And tomorrow we'll climb up to 78 degrees, also partly cloudy, and no chance of precipitation either day. Let's get a check of traffic with Jim Telemonte.
Not so great when it comes to city traffic, Kristen. Near Northwest Side, traffic lights have been malfunctioning at Grand Avenue, Halsted, and Milwaukee for over 2 hours now, and traffic is still just a mess in that area. On the south side, there's police activity at 74th and Morgan. Pennsville, northbound 83 has heavy traffic. The Eisenhower to Thorndale, there's some construction in that area. Kennedy inbound, heavy division to the Burn Circle. 23 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, outbound 26. The Edens is 5. The Eisenhower. 31 minutes, Thorndale to the post office, outbound 40. The Stevenson is good right now in both directions. Inbound Ryan, it's a 5-minute delay from the Stevenson to the Burn Circle. Northbound Tri-State, a little heavy at 290. Northbound Veterans Memorial, stop and go from Lake Street up to Beesterfield on 53. There's some debris in the 2 left lanes on the northbound side. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
Hey, I want to tell you about my friends at Guardian Security Services, because here's the deal. If you're unhappy with your door staff or on-site security officers at your business or property, or you're just not receiving the services you were promised, there's no reason to tolerate it. Call my friends right now at Guardian Security Services to discuss your security officer needs. These guys are amazing. They've been Chicago's best for 41 years. They only assign the most professional, highly trained security officers in all of Chicagoland. Their vetting practices are exceptional. If you're finally ready to explore an alternative to your current security officer provider, then doggone it, do it. Pick up the phone right now and schedule a free security assessment with my friends at Guardian Security Services. Tell them me, Joe Walsh, sent you. Right now, call 708-385-3300. Again, 708-385-3300 or online at GuardianSecurityInc.com.
Hey, kids aren't thinking about school very much this summer, but it's the perfect time for you, Mom and Dad, to think about where you'll be sending your kids to school this fall. More and more parents are thinking about private school, and maybe that's you. Well, private school has never been more affordable thanks to HalfPriceSchools.com, where you can find tuition vouchers for private schools across the Chicagoland area at half off the normal price. There's no catch. It's real simple. Find a school near you, purchase the tuition voucher, and prepare to send your child off to school this fall. HalfPriceSchools.com has schools located all across the Chicago area, including Libertyville, Bensonville, Palos Heights, Palatine, Chicago, Arlington Heights, just to name a few. But don't delay. Summer won't last forever, and school will be starting again before you know it. Visit HalfPriceSchools.com today, and many of these vouchers have already sold out, so do not wait. No more procrastination. Visit HalfPriceSchools.com today. That's HalfPriceSchools.com.
Ameritrust Mortgage is the one-stop mortgage shop. Buy or refinance. VA, FHA, and conventional. A local company. Ameritrust Mortgage is your one-stop mortgage shop.
This is Barbara Walters, president of Ameritrust. For any mortgage, call us. We know our business and we get you to the finish line fast. We don't use voicemail. You get to talk to a real live person, and when you do, you'll find out how easy it can be to get the mortgage done and how much you will save. Your loan is processed in-house. Our staff underwriters approve your loan. Ameritrust closes your loan with Ameritrust funds. Ameritrust is a mortgage banker. Our loans are never funded by a third-party end-line investor. We are the one-stop mortgage shop. We also have options that will give you a choice, paying closing costs or not paying any costs. Choose what's best for you.
Ameritrust Mortgage. Call 815-459-7303 right now and compare. You'll get the lowest quote fast because they make the decisions. 815-459-7303 or go to am560myhome.com.
My name is Roosevelt. I always thought that cigarette smoking just messed up your lungs. I never thought that at only 45 would give me a heart attack. And I never thought that it would change my life forever. My tip is, do your heart a favor and quit now.
Heart attack risk drops as soon as you quit. Call 1-800-QUIT-NOW for help getting free medication, if available and eligible. That's 1-800-QUIT-NOW. A message from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention.
You're unique, so why is your mattress one size fits all? Because a custom mattress costs thousands, until now. Hi, I'm Christian von Rickenbach, founder of HelixSleep.com, where you can buy a mattress online, customized for you, for hundreds of dollars instead of thousands. Go to HelixSleep.com, answer a few simple questions, and we build you the most comfortable mattress you'll ever sleep on. Shipping is free, and you have 100 nights to try it out. Go to HelixSleep.com/try now and get $50 off your order. HelixSleep.com/try now.
Mike Rowe here for 1 hour. Today, Chuck is jogging in place to make a point about energy efficiency.
I thought I was training for a marathon.
He's been at it now for...
3 minutes.
And already he's wearing out.
I'm not.
Your heating and air conditioning systems are a lot like Chuck.
Warm yet somehow cool?
Wheezing, wasting energy, and probably headed for replacement.
You're talking about the air systems, right?
Sure, pal. Sure. Call 1 hour before it's too late.
Can you do the disclaimer for me?
Each independent franchise is licensed in its respective state or county.
Thanks.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan, and in for Amy this morning, Kristen McQuarrie from the Chicago Tribune editorial board. And this may be of interest to you, Ms. McQuarrie. As a journalist, you better mind your phone calls. You know, don't be talking to your yoga teacher. Don't be planning your daughter's wedding, whether it's through your private server or on the phone, because according to this story in The Intercept, theintercept.com, the FBI, dating back to 2013, has been using so-called national security letters, which allows the FBI to obtain information about journalist calls without going to a judge or informing the news organization being targeted. How frequently is this used? The FBI issued 13,000 so-called national security letters in 2015 alone. The rules stipulate that obtaining a journalist's records with a national security letter requires the sign-off of the FBI's general counsel and the executive assistant director of the Bureau's national security branch, in addition to the regular chain of approval. But the bottom line is this is one of these questions of who watches the watchman when you don't have to go to a court or inform the individual that you're targeting, that you're obtaining their information. And, oh, by the way, I mean, isn't this what the Obama administration was doing, particularly with Eric Holder, the James Rosen case, and other such cases, kind of impinging upon the Fourth Estate, wouldn't you say?
I would say so. I mean, I don't think they would find anything too interesting if they did track my phone records. But to that case, under the Obama administration in 2013, obtained phone records for the Associated Press because they had uncovered a story about a foiled terror plot. They covered more than 20 separate phone lines of reporters in the AP bureaus in New York, Washington, and Hartford, Connecticut. I mean, if the federal government has this kind of time and resources to be digging into what reporters are doing, then, no wonder we're not making any progress on the front of terrorism and elsewhere, because we're too busy digging around to see what reporters are doing. And I thought it was interesting. Hillary Clinton recently was a couple of her handlers were caught in an email hack scam where you saw how much they track reporters at events. So-and-so is over in this corner. I mean, it was back and forth. Just the movement of this reporter from CNN and trying to keep her away from him, it's just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, it's also a lesson for the D.C. press corps about the rapacious big government they're inclined to support. And, they're put on notice that they are not insulated from big government visiting itself upon them and their profession, and frankly, with respect to their constitutional rights that they value when they're spending so much time dismissing other constitutional rights for other people who they don't value.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I had gout in both my knees, and it's gone.
Well, I'm pretty stupid. I should have ordered it 15 years ago. Best thing I ever got in my. It's the most effective product that I've ever bought in my life.
He had eczema on his hand, and it cracked for years. He did anything from doctor, every cream, everything. And 3 months on the veggies and fruit, it was gone.
They're just awesome. They keep asking me, what am I doing? I told them what I did with my cholesterol. I had the blood test, right? And it went down 100 points. 262, now it's 162. Everything is just perfect.
Call now to find out how to get your free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Call now, 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO.
The stock market may seem like a roller coaster ride, but your finances don't have to be. You may be wondering, is there another big correction on the horizon? If so, are you prepared? Or are you at the mercy of stockbrokers if it happens? Let Online Trading Academy teach you how to navigate the stock market during these changing times. They offer professional trading and investing education for every skill level. They'll teach you a rules-based strategy, trading on knowledge, not speculation, so you can identify market changes before they happen. So reserve your seat today for a free half-day training course at their state-of-the-art education facility in Lombard. Call 877-OTA-CHIC now. Mention this ad. And Online Trading Academy will send you a free home video study course valued at $247 just for calling. Call now the number, 877-OTA-CHIC. Coming up, a Homewood Flossmoor principal fired for punishing a student for using the N-word. That's at 8:38. But now let's check the headlines with Dave Stewart.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Kristen. Good morning. It's 64 degrees in Chicago at 8:32 on AM 560. The Answer. Look for a sunny and pleasant day today with a high of 73. Planned Parenthood and the ACLU are celebrating a judge's ruling that blocks a new state law in Indiana that would have limited abortions.
Happy Independence Day to the women of the state of Indiana. We get to celebrate our freedom.
That's Planned Parenthood's Betty Cockrum. If the judge did not intervene, the new Indiana law would have taken effect today, preventing women from ending a pregnancy based on genetic abnormalities. Attorney General Loretta Lynch is reportedly pledging to accept the FBI's recommendations on the investigation into Hillary Clinton's emails. Multiple reports out this morning say that Lynch will make an official announcement on that matter later today. Illinois House Speaker Michael Madigan says passage of the stopgap bills yesterday proves his point that compromise was always possible.
When the governor's demands relative to his personal agenda that hurts families are dropped. That happened here today.
But Governor Rounder called the short-term agreements a bridge to reform and said he'll continue to push his pro-business, anti-union ideas.
We've hit the bottom. This is the low point in the evolution of Illinois. And now we begin to move up.
Rounder admits, though, his chances will depend in part on the outcome of the November election. The bills mean basic state functions are funded through the end of the calendar year, and schools across the state will open on time. Chicago schools get extra money and the right to raise taxes for teacher pensions. Overnight violence in Chicago. Just after midnight, a 28-year-old man was killed, a 34-year-old woman injured in a shooting in West Chatham. They were in a car in the first block of West 76 when someone in a red pickup fired shots. Also, Chicago police say 5 people were shot, one of them fatally, in a drive-up attack in the Longwood Manor neighborhood last night. In sports, the Cubs fell to the Mets 4-3. The White Sox beat the Twins 6-5. Tonight, it's the Cubs in New York again. The White Sox visit Houston. News and service of Napa Auto Parts. This month at participating Napa Auto Parts stores, the full family of Castrol motor oils is on sale. So pick up Edge Synthetic, GTX High Mileage, or GTX Conventional to keep your car running longer and stronger for less. That's Napa know-how. AM 560 News Time, 8:34. We've got traffic in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Mike Gallagher is looking for a united GOP to take on Hillary.
If Paul Ryan, if all these squishy, timid Republicans, the NRA, some fair-minded media types, if any of those factions would be in Donald Trump's corner, maybe he'd be up by 10 points right now. Who knows? Who knows? Democrats have no trouble uniting.
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
LiveWatch helps you connect and respond up to 10 times faster in an emergency. LiveWatch has no long-term contracts. Save up to 50% off home security. Call 855-LiveWatch or visit livewatch.com.
People who can afford a LASIK procedure sure are lucky. Imagine being able to throw away your contacts and glasses. Imagine waking up tomorrow with 20/20 vision. Too bad everyone can't afford LASIK. Well, guess what? There's a company that agrees with you. The LASIK Vision Institute is now offering dramatically low prices on high-quality LASIK to make it affordable for everyone. That means you get the latest FDA-approved LASIK technology for a fraction of what others charge. And if you call right now, we'll schedule a free appointment so you can discover if LASIK is right for you. Results may vary. Call 1-800-700-8145. Even better, if you're one of the first 100 callers, ask about an extra 20% discount off our already low-cost services. We've already performed over 1 million procedures. Let us help you. Discover how you can get the quality LASIK experience you deserve at a fraction of what others charge. For your free appointment, call 1-800-700-8145. 1-800-700-8145.
Okay, forest animals, kids are coming to the forest, and it's up to us to make their visit a good one. Sparrow, have you practiced the most popular bird songs for the year?
Of course.
Catchy. I like it. River, how's the temperature?
It's a refreshing 52 degrees, man.
I love it. Turtle.
He's not here yet, man.
He's late every morning. Okay. Squirrel.
The forest has been preparing just for you. To learn more about cool things to do in the forest, visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Napa know-how.
Napa has the family of Castrol motor oils on sale starting at $3.39 a quart for conventional. So if you drive a family hauler, a cruiser, a grocery getter, a midlife crisis mobile, a clunker, a sweet van, or anything else you don't have to plug in at night, Napa has a Castrol oil on sale for you starting at $3.39 a quart. That's Napa know-how. General states pricing. Sales prices do not include applicable state, local taxes, or recycling fees. Offer expires 7/31/16.
May 8:37. Let's check the roads from the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, David. The Edens is clear right now. 19 minutes either way between Lake Cook and Montrose. The Kennedy with delays starting at Damon. 26 minutes. O'Hare to downtown. Outbound 22. Inbound Eisenhower, just a 1 or 2 minute delay between Damon and downtown Chicago. Outbound, a 5-minute delay from Addison Road to 355. There was some debris earlier on 53 at Feasterfield that has cleared. Northbound 83 in Bensonville, it's slow from the Eisenhower to Thorndale. Stevenson is clear. Inbound Ryan, it's a 5-minute delay from the Stevenson to the Burns Circle. Northbound Tri-State, a little heavy from the Reagan Tollway to the Eisenhower. The other tollways are good. Southbound Lakeshore Drive, a little sluggish, 18th to the Stevenson. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte at AM 560. The Answer.
Now your forecast, a service of aircomfort.com, providing the right climate for business since 1935. Mostly sunny and pleasant today, high 73. Cool tonight, patchy clouds, low 55. Sunny tomorrow with more patchy clouds and a high of 79. Right now, 64 degrees at O'Hare. Next news, 9 o'clock. Now, more of Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Turnkey IT, giving you the freedom to focus on your business while they handle the technical stuff. Turnkey IT.
When you've got questions, he always has an answer. It's Sean Hannity this afternoon at 2, right before Joe Walsh at 5 on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. And in for Amy this morning is Kristen McQuarrie from the Chicago Tribune editorial board, and this story is fascinating. particularly in light of the story we talked about earlier, the South Jersey grade school, where police responded to a call about a third grader using the word brownie to describe a brownie, a baked good, but some students thought he was referring to the student because he apparently had brown skin, and that said it was racist, and so this whole contretemps ensued. Well, Homewood Flossmoor High School right here in our backyard in the south suburbs just fired their principal, Ryan Pitcock. Now, it seems like there's some subtext to the story, but it happened just a couple of weeks after he banned a student named Tyler Ball from prom for profanity that was included in her spoken word performance at the school's talent show, language she did not clear with the school before she used in the talent show as is required. And I have a mole down there, and my moles are everywhere. So I got
great.
A little bit
what does
of
your
backstory.
mole say?
Well, I got a little bit of backstory, but here, just hear this first. So Ball, this student who was banned from the prom, in her spoken word poem, Dear Black Girls, she used the N-word and a slang term for women's breasts.
What would that have been?
Nice try. Not going to get me to fall
I'm
for
trying to
that
get
one.
the FEC on you.
In the context of the piece, Ball said she used those words to combat black stereotypes and to empower women. Yeah, okay, right. The rationale of a bad poet. Ball said the poem was not approved by the show's sponsor. As she finished at the morning of her performance, she conceded later that she should have reached out for approval. But of course, everybody's to blame, so no one's to blame. We both dropped the ball, said Miss Ball about her poem and the language in it. And then, of course, the reaction after she was punished by not being allowed to attend prom was overwhelming because she's empowering women with her potty talk. So much so that even J.K. Rowling, the author of the Harry Potter fantasy book series, chimed in on Twitter encouraging others to support Ball. Became this kind of international cause celeb because, of course, it's this student that is propagating the rhetoric of the left against the rules, and the principal is the bad guy. But it turns out there's more than that going on there, that a lot of the teachers weren't happy with Principal Pitcock because he kind of was a stickler about accountability and performance and measuring teachers based on student performance. 700 people showed up last night at a school board meeting at HF High School to query the school board about the basis for their termination. And, of course, the lawyers wouldn't let anybody talk and explain to the residents and the families what happened and why it happened, lay out the case, as it were, because it's a personnel matter. So we can't discuss it. More of your transparency in local government, paying attention to what's going on at the local schools, who's really in charge versus who has the titles that suggest they're in charge. And so this is a pending matter with a replacement forthcoming. Here's something else about HF. HF spends about $17,000 per student per year. About 16% of its students pass the PARCC exam. In contrast with, say, Wheaton Warrenville South, from whence I hail, although I didn't go to that school, which spends $12,000 per student. 3 times as many of their students pass the PARCC test, 47%, while actually having a higher percentage, Wheaton Warrenville South has a higher percentage of low-income students in their district than does HF. And so part of the story is this very public spat between this African-American female senior because of her poem and the associated punishment. And the other part of it, the bigger part of it, because 4 teachers spoke out at the meeting last night cheering the school board for firing Principal Pitcock, is the issue of actually what are we getting out, what are we producing in terms of the quality of our students versus what's being put in. You've covered the Southland for many, many moons, Kristen McQuarrie. What do you say to this story?
Well, I think you're raising 2 issues. First of all, we don't really know if this was the last straw or something with the principal.
Right.
I find it hard to believe that they would move to fire him over this incident. This was a student who was an honor roll student. She admits that she did not get clearance. She read her poem first at audition, and then she added these bad words. You have the school side where, talent shows are not just for the kids to come. Parents, younger brothers and sisters, they're a family event. And so in general, you do have to be careful about what is said.
Like use of the N-word. I think that's a pretty bright line.
It's a very bright line, and she was barred from going to prom. I think that's an appropriate punishment for her knowingly skirting the rules and amping up the language in her poem. I do tend to like to give kids a break because they are kids. She is, an honor roll student. She was banned from prom. I guess they were going to continue on and maybe not let her walk in graduation. And that's where, there was some, I guess words with the principal that he was pushing this too far. Talent shows in high schools, sometimes kids, not in her case, but it's an outlet. It's a form of expression. And I think I don't like zero tolerance policies in general.
No.
And this sort of felt like that to me. Like they were going to drop the hammer on her for this when in fact stripping her from her ability to go to prom when she showed up in her dress is punishment enough.
Well, I agree with zero tolerance policies. That's why we have adults in charge of these systems. It's ostensibly to exercise judgment and to respond appropriate to the offense or to the incident. I agree with your characterization of that. But the kind of to come over the top and suggest and rally people because she's being mistreated, her artistic creativity is somehow being restrained. It's a bunch of nonsense.
Well,
it's a bunch of silliness.
And to your point about the district spending, this is a single high school that has a superintendent and a principal. So maybe they could use this opportunity. Instead of hiring another principal, just have one person in charge. This is a one-school district.
There's an idea. Here's something else, too. Take your calls, 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. So from my mole, who was at the meeting yesterday.
Come on, reveal. Who is it?
I'm not going to tell you who it is, but I'll tell you what he said.
Okay, so we know it's a male.
He said, basically, like it was like watching the movie Lean on Me, where Principal Pitcock plays the role of Joe Clark. The school is underperforming. He demands accountability at every level. Teachers get upset. He tells them when he tells them they're not doing their jobs. They fire up the union and fire him on this BS that he's not sensitive enough. A bunch of kids and parents stood up and said how involved he was. The principal was fired. The school board said the lawyers won't let them talk, and 4 teachers stood up and said they love the school board for firing him. He also suggests there may be some cronyism at play, a relationship between the superintendent and somebody that he wants to install as the principal. And so all of this controversy gave him the opportunity to push the school board to get rid of the principal so he can put his guy in, which, you think school politics is any different than the politics you see on the city council or in city government or state government. It's the same stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same stuff, which is why you should pay attention, since that's in most communities where 80% of your property tax bill
certainly in this
derives.
District. I mean, but I would take issue with your performance metrics because just in general, they do outperform some of the further southwest high school districts. Not on Park, that's the newest test, but in previous years, HF has been known for having a stellar educational reputation, and they do well on state standardized tests.
Well, yeah, in comparison to schools in the region. But that is the tallest skyscraper in Wichita.
No, I mean, I'm talking about Orland Park schools. Everyone values Sandburg and some of these other schools to the west, where, by the way, a lot of people who used to live in Homewood and Flossmoor now live. And Homewood Flossmoor is a very diverse district. I think it's about 60% black students now, 40% white students. And they've tried, this is probably why the story was so inflamed, they've tried so hard to keep that balance. They're very openly trying to, make diversity a top issue and not have people be afraid to come to the school because has a large black population. The village, the south suburbs, they've done a lot to have like diversity dinners and to make everybody, more comfortable. And so this, broke open a wound.
Yeah,
basically.
like having one of your senior honor roll students engage in this kind of left-wing claptrap and use the N-word.
She's 17.
Well, I understand.
That's what they do.
But there should be consequences to that, and there are some that clearly don't want any consequences, including her. Sean in Elmwood Park.
You better be careful how you talk about your next senator. But I'm going to tell you, I don't care why they fired a guy whose record is like that, just so they fired him. But I have to tell you guys something. First of all, I really enjoyed the show today. I really have. And when you listen to it from this side of the microphone, and you listen to it in its totality, and you listen to the news in between, and you hear this moron call her legal right now to murder her baby Liberty, and then you cover a story where an 18-year-old soldier can't buy a cigarette or a cigar, you realize that we no longer we don't have a concept of what liberty is. It's despicable to me that these politicians, and I wonder in your story about the 18-year-old tax, that really fries me, because we have these marijuana spots popping up nowhere who mysteriously are owned by lobbyists and the special needs short bus relatives of these corrupt politicians. Just form an LLC, and they're cropping up all over the place. So is it the same for the medical marijuana, or can any moron with a degree from a crooked doctor get marijuana there?
Thanks for the call, Sean. Stay tuned, because you're going to continue to be outraged when we talk to Chris Zambo, the owner of Dynamite Fireworks in Indiana, because of course you can't buy fireworks in Illinois.
They used to call me Crazy Joe, but now they can call me Batman.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Your forecast today is lovely. It's a little cooler, high of 70 degrees, no precipitation, partly cloudy, and tomorrow temperatures climb a little bit closer to 80 degrees, but a great start to your Independence Day weekend. Let's get a traffic update from Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Kristen and Dan. I hope you both have a great 4th. And right now, this is a word we rarely use when it comes to these traffic reports, but it's pretty lovely on the Edens. 19 minutes either way between Lake Cook and Montrose. In Mount Kennedy, it is slow Damon to the Burn Circle, 26 minutes O'Hare to downtown, but the express lanes are delay-free. Outbound, just about 2 minutes worth of delays approaching Sayre. The Eisenhower, can't beat it. 29 minutes either way between Thorndale and downtown. There are delays on northbound 83 from the Eisenhower to Thorndale. Stevenson inbound just a little tight from State to Lakeshore Drive. It's clear outbound. The inbound Ryan has a 5-minute delay from the Stevenson to the Circle. Outbound it's good. Lakeshore Drive southbound, slow 18th to the Stevenson. Northbound now stop and go from the Stevenson to Jackson. Tollways look pretty good. 53 southbound, slow Kirchhoff to Algonquin with a crash in the left lane. Southern Wisconsin, northwest Indiana, all good. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
ChicagoRadioDeals.com can help you spiff up your home and auto. Wash away the road grime and dirt with a great deal from Fuller's Car Wash of Elk Grove Village. A full-service car wash package includes a wash, vacuum, windows, a dash wipe down, an $18 deal for only $10. Wow. Give your home the clean it needs with an excellent deal from the Grout Medic of LaGrange. Grout Medic offers a shower touch-up that includes a steam clean of your shower tile and grout, or choose a clean and color seal floor package for your kitchen or bathroom floor tile. Each deal $110. And shop at a great local hardware store with personal customer service. Purchase the Addison Building Materials $100 gift certificate for only $50. Addison Building Materials is a true value retailer. So tackle your home improvement projects with help from your good friends over at ChicagoRadioDeals.com.
You know MJ Miller & Company as the jeweler to trust when trading in unwanted gold, precious metal, and diamonds. But did you know they also sell gold, coin, and bullion? This is important. Due to uncertainty in the market, gold prices are on the rise, and so are the scams. Choosing the right gold dealer is almost as critical as the item itself. Perhaps you're considering moving part of your nest egg into a proven investment vehicle, or maybe you'd like to leave a tangible inheritance, one that will appreciate over time. Entrust MJ Miller with this important purchase and rest easy knowing you are paying a fair price for your golden investment. Of course, MJ Miller is still buying unwanted metal and will write you a check on the spot. MJ Miller & Company is located at 123 West Main Street in downtown Barrington. They're open Monday through Friday until 6, Saturday until 5, and every Thursday until 8. 847-381-7900 or mjmillerjewelers.com.
Did you know that if you have mutual funds in your IRA, 401k, or investment accounts, that according to Forbes magazine, you could be paying as much as 3.17% in hidden fees every single year? 3.17% may not sound like much, but over 10 years, it's costing you 32%, whether your fund is up or down. Hi, it's Tom Fortino of the Alpha Wealth Group in Chicago and host of the Alpha Wealth Hour on AM 560. This is just one of the reasons I hate mutual funds, and you should too. You may not know this, but you have far more investment options today without the excessive fees. Learn what they are in my free report, The Truth Behind Mutual Funds. What you learn may shock you. To get your free report, The Truth Behind Mutual Funds, call 630-519-4742. There's no obligation. That's 630-519-4742.
Investment advisory services. Offered through Retirement Wealth Advisors, Inc.
Coming up next, it's me, Mike Gallagher, right after Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy on AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Kristen McQuarrie from the Chicago Tribune editorial board in for Amy. And Illinois, Kristen, is one of, I think, 7 states that bans the sale of fireworks for consumer use. Of course we are. And that means good things for those who have fireworks businesses across the border. Let's say in Hammond, Indiana. Let's say like Chris Zambo, the owner of Dynamite Fireworks in Hammond, Indiana, who joins us now. Chris, thanks for joining us.
Hey, good morning, guys. Thanks for having me.
So how much of your business comes from Illinois?
I'm guessing 60 to 70%.
Oh, it's great. So there you go. So all you Illinoisans who aren't crossing the border right now, you go to Dynamite Fireworks and you bring them back and you blow off an M80 in your hand.
Well, one correction there. M80s are federally illegal, Dan.
There you go, Dan.
All right.
So I think I read that Indiana gets at least $3 million in extra revenue annually from the sale of fireworks. There are some proposals here in Illinois that would possibly bring in as much as $15 million in extra revenue. Can you talk a little bit about what taxes people do have to pay that go to, subsidize state government?
There is a 5% additional fireworks users tax in addition to the 7% sales tax. So people are paying a total of 12% tax. That was part of the deal to get fireworks legalized. Business has grown. This is the 11th year since fireworks have been legal in Indiana. It's grown approximately 10%. The market has just expanded, and the shows have gotten bigger, and people's budgets have gotten equally as big.
And for the nanny state types that run this state that have continued to leave fireworks on the do not sell list, how do you address the safety arguments they use as the predicate to uphold the ban?
Look, I'd say in the last 10 years since fireworks have been legalized, that safety has improved dramatically. The design of the stuff has improved. People's knowledge of how to use it has improved. I mean, I would say even though the market's expanded so much, that the accidents are down. And I would also add that the only horror stories you see are from the illegal fireworks, like the M80s you talked about. Those are federally illegal. That's where most of the accidents come from, not the stuff that we sell in these stores.
So what are some of the most popular fireworks that we might see this year? And I know I'm going to get in trouble for saying this, but do you have the Poopy Puppy?
We have 3 or 4 versions of the Poopy Puppy. It comes in an elephant, it comes in a duck, a dog, and a cat now.
Okay, for listeners who don't know what I'm talking about, you have to Google it, Google Poopy Puppy, and watch. Maybe you could describe it, Chris. How does it work?
You light it, and it starts to emit a black foam out of the rear end. Therefore, Poopy Puppy.
That's just what you do on the weekends? All right, Chris, set aside a gross of black cats for me. And by the way, unsolicited text from Ann B. Davis's bowling ball. I owned a lake house with Chris Zambo. Good guy. So there you go. Chris Zambo, owner of Dynamite Fireworks in Hammond, Indiana, for all your fireworks needs if you're a captive of Illinois like we are. Chris, thanks so much for joining us. Happy Independence Day.
Happy 4th of July, everybody. Thank you.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I'm telling you right now, it's awesome. I was trying to get my blood pressure regulated, okay? And after 3 days of taking this thing, my blood pressure went back down to normal. I am ecstatic. I am so happy with this stuff. It is my savior.
Well, I had back pain for the last 40 years. 4 days after I started taking this stuff, it's gone.
This was the first summer that I have not had to have a steroid shot to help me to breathe.
The reason why I'm taking it because I've got Hep C. Once I began taking your stuff, it took a few months, but believe it or not, my liver enzymes are way down and it's normal now. It works.
Call now to find out how to get your free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com.
Use promo code CHICAGO.
On AM 560 The Answer, we talk about the important issues that affect your world. Things like the economy, education, and foreign policy. There's always so much going on in the news that we don't always have the time to focus in and talk about the big ideas behind the important issues. Enter Upstream Ideas online at upstream-ideas.com. Upstream Ideas, in partnership with the Illinois